Hey y'all, hey, what's going on? Hey Sam, hey Rachel, how y'all doing? Good to see you guys. Molson man, hey, what's up? How y'all doing? Sorry I was a little tardy. I need to get better about that. I used to never be late. I don't know what my problem is, but I'm sorry I made you guys wait. I'm sorry. Hope you forgive me. All right, so tonight we shall be going back over, well, not back over, that's not the right word. We're going to go to the very beginning of the Yaser Saeed trial so that we are all caught up for Monday. Hold on a second. Yeah, I want to be all caught up on Monday because also, I really want to see, no, Molson man, don't do that. I don't put my look bad on my on my college applications. If my attendance is spotty, please don't do that. But yeah, I want us to be all caught up on, let's see. This must be it. Yeah. Okay. Because I want to make sure that we're all caught up, and I want to see what happened on Friday after lunch. Hey, Nonstop Mom. Hey, Amelia Sparkles. Good to see you guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I want to see what happened Monday or Friday and after lunch, because I want to know if the medical examiner got to testify. I want you guys to be able to hear the opening statements. So I'm not going to play like all of day 1, all of day 2, all of day 3. We're just going to do the highlights. Okay. Because That's a lot to catch up on. And it just is a lot. That way when I start back being live in the morning on Monday. See, I need to just hang it up already. I can't even talk. But anyway, if that way when I start going back live on Monday, we'll all be caught up. And when I go live Monday night for the afternoon portion of the trial, we'll all be kind of on the same page. And if not, at least if you can't catch it during the day, I can fill you guys in at night. But I can't fill you guys in that well if I'm not filled in myself. Make sense? Okie dokie. So let me get over here to the share screen part. And while we're waiting on my slow butt, would you guys do your girl a solid and give me a thumbs up on the stream if you feel I deserve it? I would appreciate it very much. All right, I want us to get to the right part. Hold on. Lordy. Hold on, let me see what's happening. Oh, this is some pre-trial stuff. We'll come back to that. I want to get us to the opening statements. All right, let me add you guys to the stream so y'all can hear it.
Your Honor, just for clarification on the Aldridge motion,
Let me.
They've been asked any law enforcement agency if he made a statement, are they allowed to mention that a statement was made in open?
They can, if they choose to mention that there was a statement made, they can do that during opening. They can elicit it from any of the witnesses, including law enforcement. But they are not allowed to go into the substance of the statement.
All right, so we should be starting. Let me just speed this up real quick.
I understand. Now, whether the inside opens the door to anything, that would be taken on during the call.
Oh, crap. I pushed the wrong thing. All right, here's the jury. So they must be getting ready to get to it. This seems really loud. Is it loud for you guys? There we go. That's better. Okay. Hey, I've learned a lot. Good to see you. Aw. Thank you, Amelia Sparkles. Thanks, everybody, for giving me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Helps, keep your girl in the algorithm. I don't know. That's what they say. And I see tons of creators asking for thumbs up, so I feel like it must do something. So we'll see.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Thank you all for arriving substantially on time. And thank you for your patience. Now this trial has to get on the minutes.
Let's walk through the witnesses.
Bruh.
Overruled.
They mentioned 911. They mentioned 911. And most of their formative years.
Bruh, come on.
That same control and that same manipulation that the defendant has.
Oh, they got a. Okay, here we go.
Against the peace and dignity of the Dallas County, in said court at said term, do present that one, Yaser Abdel Said, the defendant.
I'm not messing with
On
it
or about the
anymore.
first day of January 2008, in the county
This is
house
openings,
in
babe.
said state,
Amelia,
unlawfully then and there, intentionally and knowingly, cause the death of an individual.
let me
to wit,
turn it. Let
Amina
me
Said,
not have it
by
so
shooting
sped
Amina
up.
Said with a firearm, a deadly weapon. And during the same criminal transaction, said defendant did then and there intentionally and knowingly cause the death of another individual, to wit, Sarah Said, by shooting Sarah Said with a firearm, a deadly weapon. And further, said defendant.
Oh,
unlawfully
okay.
then and
Thanks,
there,
Sam.
intentionally and knowingly cause the death of an individual, to wit, Amina Said, by shooting Amina Said with a firearm, a deadly weapon. And during a different criminal transaction, or pursuant to the same scheme and course of said defendant did there intentionally and knowingly cause the death of another individual, to wit, Sarah Said, by shooting Sarah Said with a firearm, deadly weapon, against the peace and dignity of the state, and signed by 4 persons of grand jury.
Thank you. To the indictment, what does the defendant plead?
Not guilty.
Thank you. Please be seated. Does he decide which one to go to the room? Okay. If there are potential witnesses sitting in the courtroom, please sit in the hallway. Do not talk to each other. Do not talk to witnesses who have testified. Do not discuss testimony. Both parties are instructed to tell their potential witnesses and discuss them accordingly. All right, does the state wish to make an opening statement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
All right, here we
May it
go.
please the court, opposing counsel, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. This is a case about a man obsessed with possession and control. He controlled his 2 daughters, Amina Said and Sarah Said. He controlled what they did, who they talked to, who they could be friends with, if they and who they could date, and he controlled everything in his household. You'll hear that he also controlled his wife. A person that he married who was 15 years of age when he married her, he was 29. She then had 3 children with him. His first son, Islam Said, born March of 1988, Amina Said, born March of 1989, and Sarah Said, the baby, born March of 1990. All while Patricia was in her formative years, still teenager. You'll hear the dynamics in that household. A household built on isolation and dependency on one individual, Yaser Said. But this case is also about 2 beautiful young women.
And the
Amina
girls are
Said,
very beautiful. They're
18
pretty
years of
girls.
age at the time of the offense, and Sarah Said, 17 years of age at the time of the offense. These were 2 young, spirited young ladies. They were extremely bright. They went to Louisville High School. They were in AP classes, and they had big dreams. They wanted to become doctors. They wanted to go to college. They wanted to get married. They wanted to have families. Normal teenage girls wanting a normal life. But you'll see, as they got older, and the smarter they became, and the more educated they became, and the more independence that they got, the defendant got angrier. Because if they had more independence,
It's such a sad case.
that was less control for him. You'll hear in this case that leading up to the murders of Amina Said and Sarah Said, the defendants behaved without extremely dangerous. The girls became very scared for their lives. Their mother, Patricia, who had left the defendant numerous times in the past because of his behavior, was so scared that they all 3 decided, we need to escape. So they made a plan. And at this time, the girls are thriving. They're doing well in school. Amina has scholarships to go to college, and they each have boyfriends. Sarah is dating a young man by the name of Eric Camino, who goes to Louisville High School. And Amina is dating a young man at a junior college named Edgar Louise. They convinced their boyfriends to go with them. Imagine that. 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 19-year-old, and their mother, Patricia Owens, all flee from the defendant. They plan their escape. You'll hear that the defendant rarely worked, but if he did, he drove a cab. They knew that they needed to leave when he was not home. Cab drivers have predictable schedules, so of course, depending on when is the time, the traffic, is when they work. So it took them a couple of days to get their plan together. When they successfully leave, it's Christmas Day. It's the evening of Christmas Day. They tell Islamic brother, we're gonna go get something to drink. We'll be back, but they're gone. Edgar borrows a truck from his dad. They all leave. They go to Oklahoma. They gotta get away because things have gotten so bad. What do I mean by so bad? You'll hear that leading up to the murders, the reason for them leaving is that the defendant put a gun to Amina's head, threatened to kill her. That's what they believe. So they're safe. Our story right now, they're safe. They're in Oklahoma. Only for a few days. Because that same control and that same manipulation that the defendant has done for years has worked. And he gets them to come home. And they come home. And now he's a changed man. Now he's okay with everything. He's going to give them some independence. He's going to let them date their boyfriends. He's going to let them go to college. He's going to let them live their own lives. So he tells the mother, everything's okay. Come home. Everything's okay. And he tells the mother he wants to take him out to dinner to eat. So he takes Amina, the older one. She's in the front passenger seat of the cab. And he takes Sarah, the younger one. She's in the back seat, right directly behind me in the cab. He takes them to go meetings. Patricia, the mother, asked her go. Told her no. She needs to stay home. Ladies and gentlemen, he killed those two girls in that cab. His 2 daughters. You'll hear evidence that Amina was shot twice, and Sarah suffered and was shot 9 times. We're going to bring you 2 911 calls. One from Sarah Saeed, where she's asking for help. And she names her killer, her father, Yaser Saeed. Another 911 call from the Omni Hotel, where they found the cab in the taxi line. No one was moving in that cab. 2 girls in the cab. One looked slumped over. Ignition off, keys removed, no gun. And where is Yaser Saeed? Phone turned off. In the wind. Nowhere to be found. This manhunt for the defendant lasted 12 long years until he was finally apprehended by the FBI. We're going to bring evidence of that as well. It's been 12 long years, and now the defendant stands trial for this heinous crime. At the end of the conclusion of this case, I'm going to ask you to come back and return the only just verdict in this case. A verdict of guilty of capital murder. I thank you, and I look forward to presenting evidence to you.
Thank you, counsel. Does the defense wish to make an opening statement at this time?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Opposing counsel, members of the jury. This is a difficult case. It's not just difficult for the obvious reasons. We have Sarah, who was 17, we have Amina, who was 18, who both had their lives taken from them on January 1st, 2008. These girls were, by all accounts, all American girls. They were young girls transitioning into young women in American culture with a heavy influence from a Muslim, Egyptian immigrant family. It is that diversity that made their life difficult. It made it complex. It's that diversity that makes this case complex. To put this in some perspective, Sarah would have been 11 and Amina would have been 12 on September 11th, 2001. That means that these 2 young girls spent their entire teenage years and most of their formative years in a post 9/11 world. And Yaser was trying to raise 2 teenage girls in America in a world where our government had daily discourse filled with anti-Muslim rhetoric, Islamophobia. You know, when these girls should have been worried about their driver's license, they're seeing pictures of torture in Guantanamo Bay. Yaser is seeing on the news every night what our country did to Muslim suspects, the lengths that they would go to justify torture. Now, it was wrong in 2001 and the years after that for our government to generalize and criminalize an entire culture to fit their objectives and to fit their narratives. And it's wrong today in this trial for the government to generalize an entire culture, to criminalize an entire culture, to fit their narrative and to fit their objective. The state wants to convict Yaser for being a Muslim in 2008 because the evidence will show that the evidence will not support convictions for capital murder today. It would not support it in 2008, and it will not support it in this trial. Now, we do expect that you'll hear some incriminating evidence. The state mentioned 911 calls. There's also the fact that the girls were found in a cab that was subsequently lost. There's also the fact that he went on the run for 12 years. 12 years, 7 months, and I believe 25 days, from January 1st, 2008, to the day that he was finally picked up on the evidence. But we will put these facts into context. The evidence will flesh this out. That it is not as simple as they want to make it sound. So let's talk a little bit about the evidence that we expect to see, the narrative that we anticipate the state will present. I believe the best way to walk through that is to look at the witness list they provided to this court and to the defense counsel, telling us who they anticipate to call to tell their story in this trial, to provide testimony. Now, the state doesn't have to call all these people. This is not a sworn declaration that all 58 of these individuals are going to testify, but this was who they said that they intend to call. There's approximately 12 civilian witnesses. I believe there's 2 or 3 dozen law enforcement type officers from various organizations, 8 different organizations, 4 of which are different law enforcement agencies. There were approximately half a dozen, 6 or 7 federal agents who are listed as potential witnesses to testify in this case. They have 4 medical experts. They have 1 individual from T-Mobile. And I believe the most telling witnesses that are on that list are the fact that they listed on their witness list 2 experts in culture. An individual from SMU and an individual
Your Honor,
from
objection. The state can present its case in whatever form we like to. That notice was given to defense counsel. He cannot state what I want to prove and how I want to prove it.
Overruled, the opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor. The fact that they're objecting to what I just said, and the fact that they have 2 cultural experts on their witness list tells you everything that you need to know about what they're trying to do here today. Now, they didn't come out in opening statements and hammer you with Islamophobia and all the stuff, and the people who have seen the media, the narratives that were in there. They came out, they were nuanced with it, possession and control. They're hinting at what his culture has been, what we have been inundated with about his culture. They're going apparently to touch on those nuances without coming out right and saying, you know, we're more worried about the Muslims than we are the murders. So let's walk through those witnesses a little bit. That I stated there's going to be about a dozen civilian witnesses. Some of those are pretty straightforward. This individual that's seen that day at the Omni Hotel that found the girls. And while that testimony is pretty straightforward, what none of them will be able to testify to is seeing Yaser or anyone who looked like Yaser at that scene at that time and on that day. They do not have a single person from the Omni Hotel on New Year's Day, the Omni in Las Colinas. They do not have one eyewitness to say that Yaser was there that night. Not one. There were 16 surveillance cameras running on that property that night, without error, without a break in the feed. Not one of those 16 cameras could put Yaser Saeed or anyone who resembled Yaser Saeed at the Omni on January 1st, 2008. Who are some of these other civilian witnesses? We have Connie, who is Patricia's sister. Now, I mentioned earlier that there is a very large family on the paternal side of the family. Yaser and all his brothers are first-generation immigrants from Egypt. They came here in the 80s. They naturalized. They are the American story. They wrote, Yaser chose to raise his children here. He didn't, he is as American as any of us, by law and by right, but he comes from a different place. And so Connie, being a member of the maternal side of the family, on Patricia's side, these aren't the Egyptian side of the family. This is the Oklahoma and Kansas side of the family. This is the side of the family that had objections with the father side of the family, how they were trying to raise their children. So I don't know what Connie is going to testify to. I'm not going to try and sell you on something that I don't know. But she doesn't come from the side of the family that would have understood the culture through and through. I think it's also important, I want to circle back to this later, that there is not one member of Yaser Saeed's family that's on this witness list. There is not one member of his family who understood the culture, who understood what it was like to raise children in a post-9/11 America. Not one person to explain what their life was really like. They bring Patricia's sister to testify against Yaser. They bring Patricia. Ladies and gentlemen, I sincerely don't know where to begin with Patricia. I think Patricia was allowed to testify for 2 full days. You have 2 different people showing up on that witness stand. She cannot tell the same story twice and has all the motive in the world to testify against the officer. And I believe the evidence will show that she is one bad statement away from becoming a suspect in this case. So she has the motive to make this all about the officer. Also, as a mother, I'll let her testimony flush this out. I have 2 boys of my own. My heart would shatter if I had lost them. So there's something about a parent losing a child that will play into that.
Vincent's
And playing
missing
her
here.
role.
Happy Friday to you
I think
too,
there will
except
be-
for
there-
today's
there-
Saturday. So happy Saturday as well.
Also, she doesn't want to make this look like this is her fault. And I believe when you listen to her testimony, listen for those motives, listen for those inconsistencies, listen to what she's trying to say, listen to the changes in the story. On one day, the officer would never hurt the girls, on the next, you know what she's going to say. Now, the final 2 witnesses in the civilian side of this, as they mentioned, are Edgar and Eric. Edgar and Eric were the last 2 people that we know saw Amina and Sarah alive. We know that they'll testify to removing the girls from Dallas and taking them first to Kansas, which the girls rejected, and then buying them an apartment, buying them supplies, setting them up in Oklahoma. And within days of that, the girls say, no, we're going home. Now, this trial will flesh out the nuances of that decision to come home. But they rejected the boys in Kansas, and ultimately they rejected them in Oklahoma, and they come home. Sarah goes straight back to her home. Amina, frustrated, goes and stays with Edgar for a couple nights. I don't believe that there'll be any allegations that the officer attacked Sarah when she came home. Sarah came home, by all accounts, the testimony will support, the evidence will show the officer missed his daughters and was happy to have them home.
Vincent's out
But
here
after a
trying to
couple days of
extend the weekend.
Will not speak to Amina's
I love it.
mindset, but she also decides to come home. She wakes up at Edgar's house. She tells Edgar, I'm leaving. I'm going back to my home. But they failed to mention in opening is that the narrative that had been with this case for 14 years changed a month before this trial. You see, because after Sarah and Amina go home, Edgar will testify to scoping out the home throughout that day. They will testify that they found Yaser and the girls at an intersection and then followed them. How they followed them, I'm not sure how the testimony will go. But as we understand it, what we believe that evidence will show is that they followed that old 121 from Louisville, and that Edgar and Eric took exit 635. We'll have maps for all this later. But they take a different highway exit. And that they will testify that despite the fact that they're moving at the speed limit on a highway, merging onto another highway, they tell law enforcement that they know what exit Yaser takes, that they can see Yaser a mile or so down the road. And he took exit 114. They may even testify they saw which direction he went. But how is it that if you exit off 121 to 635, you can tell what anybody's doing at 114? But their testimony to law enforcement 14 years ago is that's what happened. Now, on the eve of trial, you'll hear the evidence that no, it wasn't Eric and Edgar. It was Edgar and his father, Victor. Victor, who now lives in Mexico, who is not on the state's list, who is not here to testify, but is very quick to explain what his son was doing that day or that night when the girls disappeared. Not disappeared when they lost their life. I apologize. Eric and Edgar will also testify that they went to the police department. Potentially, from the time the 911 call comes in to the time that those boys are at the police department voluntarily, could be as soon as 2.5 hours. They say we heard from a friend that the girls were dead, but they didn't say who the friend was.
Hey, coolest
We're here to
reviews.
tell you all what happened that night. We're here to tell you about following him. We're here to tell you about the days that led up to the event. We're here to tell you all about Yaser. And that starts the investigation. I mean, as far as focusing on Yaser, really zeroing in on him, it was these 2 other narratives that kicks this thing off. But what you won't hear is their recorded statements from that time. You'll hear that they tell law enforcement this, and that magically 14 years later, it's not Eric and Edgar in the car at all. I mean, you have your first major inconsistency in this narrative. So let's talk a little bit about law enforcement. This is a good transition point to get into that. There's 30, 35.
No
different law
worries,
enforcement
Vincent.
agencies,
It's
depending
a
on how you look
miserable
at it.
hot.
Some are with CPS, stay in the place. These organizations aren't directly law enforcement, work with law enforcement. But to me, the big takeaway on this is Detective Shingle. Because Detective Shingle is the one who the two boys talked to that night. Just hours after the girls made that 911 call. With a magical friend who knew about this before even potentially Patricia knew about it, before anybody knew about it. And his investigation, or lack of investigation, the way he handled that moment that night.
Oh no, I hope you feel
What this
better,
case will
Closed
show you, what this
Reviews.
will show you, is that this was a botched investigation. It is extraordinary how they handled this. They don't take DNA from the boys. They don't take fingerprints from the boys. They don't swab them for gunshot residue. They don't separate them and get two separate stories to make sure that everything lines up. They don't record statements. They don't ask who the friend is, who knew that the girl had died before anybody else. They don't verify, apparently, that it was Eric and Edgar in the car, because although they're telling law enforcement that, apparently it was Victor and Edgar in the car. So they're lying to law enforcement immediately. Law enforcement doesn't have to search the vehicles. Doesn't have to search the children, the boys, doesn't have to search their home. Doesn't even ask. And had law enforcement asked to do that, and had the boys denied that request, the fact that they were the last two people to see these girls alive, it is reasonable to believe, and I believe that evidence will support that they could have gotten a warrant for it. The ID of the Muslim.
I
That's all
don't.
they
I didn't
wore.
know this was part of the opening statement, you guys. I'm floored.
So I believe that law enforcement as a whole, without going through all 35 or whatever their witnesses, that moment in time establishes the group thing that you'll hear from every other law enforcement witness. And so what about the rest of law enforcement? I mentioned that there were federal agents. Ladies and gentlemen, any grace that you give the local law enforcement and the hardships that they face in dealing with an intense, fast-moving investigation like this should not be pushed forward to the feds. Within a day of these girls being found, the full force of the United States and local government is on this case. And if local law enforcement didn't know any better, the feds should have. The feds should have gone back and fixed the mistakes that local law enforcement messed up. But they didn't. They bought the narrative. They didn't
You're
question
welcome.
it, and this was a targeted investigation against Yaser and Yaser alone the whole time. Now, the other thing about the feds, the evidence will show that there are two convictions that have come out of this. The feds hit Yaser's son, who by all accounts is potentially mentally disabled, with 10 years, day for day, in a federal penitentiary, not for conspiracy to commit murder, not for murder, not for being a co-defendant, not for anything like that. They gave his son 10 years in the federal penitentiary for hiding Yaser while he had an active warrant. They gave his brother 13 years in a federal penitentiary, not for murder, not for conspiracy to commit murder, nothing. For hiding a man who had an active warrant. That's the best the feds could do after 14 years of investigating this case. And I guarantee you that if the feds had the case for murder on Yaser, if they could prove this case, the feds would be prosecuting him and indicting for murder. So the fact that after 14 years, with all the resources available to the federal government, to the state government, and everything else, the fact that they handed it back to the state and chose not to proceed tells you everything you need to know about the federal investigation.
Your Honor, I'm objecting to this one, in the statement of the facts, and outside the scope of opening.
The same.
Hey, Sugar Beet, long time no see, babe. Good to see ya.
We believe the federal agents will testify to the nature of their investigation and the conclusions of that investigation. We believe that the evidence will show that rather than investigating murders, they were investigating Yaser. That they chased every single brown man with a mustache. In a
This
taxi,
is the
at a
Yaser
Quickie Mart,
Saeed
or a
trial.
coffee shop. From
Coolest
here
Reviews.
to
This
Georgia,
is
to
the
Carolinas, up to
alleged
Pennsylvania,
honor
over to New
killings
York,
that took
to the bridge
place
that
in
connects New York, Canada,
Texas in
all the
2008
way down to San Diego,
with his
back up
daughters.
to Portland, or not Portland, Oregon, excuse me. And after all that, they
I
find
think
him in the
Portland
backyard
is in Oregon, but
Dallas,
that's
in
okay,
DFW.
sir.
So what about, you have this local law enforcement investigation that's flawed from the beginning, you have the feds that don't clean it up and do what they do for 14 years and end up with what they end up with. Well, let's move forward with the rest of it.
Yeah, would
We have
you?
the 4 medical experts. Yeah, I don't expect them all to testify. And their testimony will also be pretty straightforward. But I'm interested, and I would like for you to pay attention to the discussion about the trajectory of the bullets and whatever narrative the state pushed forward on how these murders occurred. But while Sarah while Amina died from the 2 gunshot, Sarah unfortunately was shot 9 times. And not all those trajectories are uniform. They don't all make sense based on the evidence. You'll also, I believe that we'll get into testimony about the mental and physical reactions being shot that many times. That the mind, in moments of extreme trauma, will sometimes slip into auditory and visual hallucination. That what was once considered a dying declaration is maybe not as sound and secure in the scientific field as it once was. I mean, this is a concept that was based in old folklore that made its way into American jurisprudence. Now, I'm interested to hear what they have to say about how that 911 call maybe came to be. And what condition Sarah may have been in when she made that call. Finally, well, not finally, we have a T-Mobile guy. I believe that T-Mobile is going to speak about Sarah's phone, the 911 call, the pinging of the location, and whatnot. But I think the omission from the witness list here is also telling. The fact that you will not see the entirety of Patricia's cell data, the entirety of Islam's cell data, the entirety of Eric's cell phone data, the entirety of Edgar's cell phone data, the entirety of Victor's cell phone data. The fact that all that is not being presented is telling.
Why don't you present it?
And finally, as far as their state witness list goes again, you saw them object. They don't want me to mention it.
Objection argumentative, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Oh dear. You see, this is how it started. It started like this, and it's been like this the whole time.
The state has indicated
Contentious.
that they intend to call 2 cultural witnesses who've spent their careers learning, analyzing, and studying the Middle East, the Muslim culture, and everything that comes with it. And I believe that that is coming. Now, let's talk about a couple of items that are missing from this. We've already talked about the fact that the Saeed family is not being told. And like the feds, I believe that if the Saeed family had anything that would help the state, they would be on this list. The state has subpoena power.
I haven't played that part yet, babe. We're going to get there. I just wanted to get to the opening statement so that you guys could see what the game plan was, you know, from both sides.
Objection, Your Honor, once again, argumentative. And we're getting a closing argument, Your Honor. They also have subpoena power.
Counsel, limit your opening statements. This is not closing arguments.
Yes, Your Honor.
We're going to get to her though, Kezchik, if she's testified, because I didn't watch the rest of it on Friday.
The witness list the state has provided indicates how they plan to prepare this case and provide this case. I believe the evidence will show that they are simply trying to convict a man who was a Muslim in 2008 because the evidence cannot and will not support a conviction for capital murder. Not then and not now. And so at the conclusion of this trial, thank you for all the evidence. Thank you for the witnesses who do testify. Thank you about the witnesses who have not testified. We would ask that you render the judgment of not guilty. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so let me pause there.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Officer Williams to stand.
We'll not be listening to Officer Williams. All right, so this is what, okay, so last night I was on criminalities panel, and we were talking about this case, okay? And specifically we were talking, we're talking about a lot of different things about this case, but one of them was Patricia, the mother. And the defense did a good job in doing what the defense is supposed to do during opening statements, and they're offering up alternative suspects, because the fact is that that's their job. The state has to get all 12 jurors on board. Okay. The prosecution only needs one, just one. So they're introducing people that also, into their mind, have a motive. And they're not being 100%. they're not lying, but I don't think they're representing what actually took place as far as the girls go. So, yes, the girls, their boyfriends, and their mother left to Oklahoma. They fled the home with Yaser Saeed and they went to Oklahoma. Now, the thing that you need to understand is that Amina was 18. She could have gone anywhere and did anything. Sarah was 17, but she was with her mother. So if her mother wanted to take her out of state, it was within her rights. Just like if her father had wanted to take her out of state, he could have. They did not have like a custody agreement. Okay. What's really in dispute here between the prosecution and the defense, as far as the events and what took place, is whether or not and why Patricia had the girls go back. Because there's a documentary, and I believe the name of the documentary is Price of Honor. I can't remember specifically, but if you Google this case out and add the word documentary, you'll get the name of the documentary. But the way that the documentary portrays it is that Yaser was calling Patricia's mother and basically haranguing her. And for some reason, Patricia said, all right, we're coming back. And so they came back and she sent them to their dad's house. But anyways, I think it's Teresa that put this out here, but I actually agree with her. I believe that when the defense says that she's one statement away from catching some charges, I believe he's telling, or did I say the defense said that she's one statement away from catching charges. I believe that to be true. I believe that Patricia is testifying for the state to keep herself out of trouble. That's what I think. A lot of people have a real issue with Patricia. They have a real issue about the way that she did not protect her daughters, because I don't know if they're going to introduce it in the trial, but it definitely was in the documentary. There were allegations of SA and by the father to the girls. And I don't know if the state's going to talk about that or not, but yeah. So I think it is too, Amelia, but this is what they have. This is their jobs. I mean, this is what they're doing. They're advocating for their client. And so I get it, but I don't like it either. Okay. Now I want to skip ahead because, hold on, let me see who this is. Hold on.
You got anything for Donnie?
Correct.
You not gonna first Denise?
You may.
I'm the second. Jury,
All right, this is the aunt. So this is, hold on. So this is Connie. This is Patricia's aunt. Or this is Patricia's sister, the girl's aunt. And I'm not going to comment too much so you guys can hear. And I'm going to turn it up because she isn't wearing the clear mask, so it's kind of hard.
Good morning. Would you please state your name for the corresponding, your first and last name for the court reporter?
It's Connie Maggio, Conniemogio.
And Connie, how old are you?
I am 49.
Okay. You doing okay this morning?
Yes, I'm nervous.
Okay, if I ask you anything, I'm going too fast, you just tell me slow down, okay?
All right.
If you need to repeat anything, just ask me to repeat it and I will.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, Connie, tell the jury how you know Amina Saeed, Sarah Saeed, and Patricia Owens.
Amina Sarah's my nieces. Patricia's my sister.
And how many siblings do you have?
I have 3.
3, so 4 y'all total?
Yes, ma'am.
Where do you fall with the siblings?
I'm the second oldest.
Second oldest? And who's the oldest?
Patricia.
Who's after you?
Donnie,
Don, is that boy or girl?
a boy,
You got a nickname for Donnie?
Grant.
You heard me that first sentence?
You may.
I'm gonna move your mic a little bit closer to you,
Okay.
okay, Don? So we can make sure we can hear you. And speak directly into this.
Okay.
Okay, so Don has a nickname. What's that nickname?
It's Crab,
Crab, okay? And who is the baby of the family?
Billy.
Before we continue, Ms. Holton, if you with us, if you're last.
We could mention these guys, so we could see that. And that's why I just put this on my ears. Since it's just gonna be a short term.
Okay,
Go ahead.
okay, so Billy is the baby?
Right.
Okay. Is Billy still living?
No, she's not.
What about Don
He is.
and Patricia?
She's, yes.
How far apart in age are you and Patricia?
13 months.
So pretty close.
Yes,
Now, you mentioned that you are the aunt, or we can infer that you're the aunt because you said the nieces were Amina and Sarah Said, is that right?
Right.
Okay. And who is your mother?
Patricia.
And who is their father?
Yaser.
Do you remember how old you were when you first met Yaser Said?
13,
How old was Patricia?
14.
And how did you come to meet Yaser Said? How did you get introduced to your family? You know,
He worked at a Circle K next door to the apartments we lived in.
Circle K next door to where?
The apartments we lived
Would you just meet him when you casually go inside?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, did Patricia and Yaser begin dating?
Yes.
When was that? Do you remember how old Patricia was? She was 13 and,
Yeah, I was 13. I think she was 14 when they started dating.
how old was Yaser?
I'm not sure. I don't even know how old he is now.
Was he the same age as Patricia, younger than Patricia, or older than Patricia?
Older.
About a few years or significantly older?
Not quite a few years.
When you mean quite a few years, how many would you say?
15.
Say it again, I'm sorry, can you?
Around 15.
Did Patricia normally date men that were older?
No.
So this, Yaser was the first one? The only one?
No.
Did you hear what I asked you? Did Patricia normally date men that were older than her, but significantly older than her?
No.
So at some point during dating, did they get married?
They did.
Okay, and how old was Patricia then?
15.
How long? How long did they date before they got married?
It wasn't very long. I'm gonna say about 2 months.
Okay? Did you say that's a short period of time?
Very short.
Did you attend the wedding?
I did.
And, did you play any role in the wedding?
I did.
And Connie, I know that you're a little nervous, but can you try your best to speak up a little bit for us to make sure we can hear you?
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
Just take your time. Just use your outside voice if you can.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, great. So what role did you play in the wedding?
Maid of honor.
Maid of honor. Pretty important role, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So after Patricia married Yaser, did she continue to live in your household? Did she continue to go to school? What happened?
She moved in with Yaser and Yaser family.
Okay? Was she still in school?
No, she wasn't.
Now, getting married at 15 years of age, could she do that on her own, or did she have to seek permission?
My mom and dad signed papers.
You remember that?
Yes.
So they signed papers for Patricia to marry Yaser
Right.
because of her age?
Right.
Okay, so she did not go to school?
Not after they were married.
Okay, so she's married at 15, she's no longer in school, she moves in, does she move in with Yaser
Yaser and his family.
and his family? Right. Do you remember who she lived with?
Boston and Mary Saeed.
And who are Muslim and Mary Saeed?
Boston is Yaser's brother and Mary's Yaser's sister-in-law.
Do you remember if Patricia worked at that time?
No, she did not.
What about Yaser, did he work?
At that time, I don't believe it was working when I got married.
Did you remember him ever to work? And if so, what kind of work did he do?
The only time I remember him working is when he drove a taxi cab.
Okay. And the person we've been referring to, man who drove a taxi cab work, do you see him here in the courtroom here today? Yaser Saeed.
I did.
Would you please identify him by the article of clothing he was wearing?
Blue suit.
What about the color of his tie?
It looks like it's black and brown. I can't really see that part.
Is he wearing a mask or a clear shield?
A mask, blue.
Now I'm asked the record to reflect that the witness has identified the defendant in open court.
The record will so reflect.
Okay, so if he worked, he drove a cab.
I'm sorry.
You said if he worked, he drove a cab, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And Patricia moves in with Yaser and his family, Mawson and Mary Saeed. At any point, does Patricia become pregnant?
Yes.
Okay, and when is that?
I believe it's about 2 months after they were married.
So pretty quickly.
Yes, ma'am.
And that would be to her first child. Who's that?
Islam.
Okay. When did she become pregnant with Amina following Islam?
A year.
So a year later, Amina's born?
Right.
Okay, and then the baby, Sarah Saeed.
She was born a year after Amina.
So did Patricia have 3 babies, all under 3 years old at one point?
Yes.
At any point, do Patricia and Yaser get their own home? Do they leave Mawson and Mary?
Yes.
Okay, and where do they live?
They lived in an apartment.
Where were the apartments located?
It was around the, you listed that from somewhere there.
Okay. Are you able to visit Patricia often?
Yes.
Okay. What about girls? Can you visit them? Amina and Sarah. Can they visit you?
Can you get a little more detail into the question?
Yeah. Were Amina and Sarah able to come see their Aunt Connie? Were they able to spend the night with me? Were
Why
they
is
able
she
to
struggling with
stay
these questions? These are not hard
They were never
questions,
allowed to spend the
Connie.
night with me, unless Patricia was present.
Why was that?
Everything unless you know. That's a speculation.
I'm not sure.
If you're objecting, will you stand up and make your legal objection?
Yeah.
Speculation.
The witness does not answer.
Do you know why
Answer if
you
you
know?
know. Answer if you know.
I don't know.
There you
But that
go.
was the rule.
Why does she
The
keep
rule was that
leaning
they
away
cannot
from
come
the
say about
microphone?
Connie
This
unless
is like,
Patricia is present. Is
hi,
that the rule?
Aussie.
Right.
Girl
Okay.
Jen. I'm gonna comment on her because she's already on my nerves. First with that mask, the poor court reporter's choking again. Bless her heart.
Did they move around a lot, Patricia, Yaser, and the girls, and Islam?
They did.
Okay. Where did they move around?
Just around the DFW area.
Did you always know where they were going?
Until they got older.
Until they got older?
Yes.
Until who
And
got
why was
older?
that?
Hey, Faraway Eyes. Good to see you.
Used, yes, sir.
Motion
Okay,
to
hold on.
extraneous offense, we have a running objection, and reproach the bench.
No, coolest. I shan't. be able to give her a break at this time. Because these are not complicated questions, number one. And number two, we're already having an issue because this is the thing. If I'm going to assign some homework, I think. Let me, while we're waiting on this sidebar here, let me Google out and see what the name of the documentary is so I can tell you guys. Because you need to watch it, I think, in order to understand the dynamic between Connie and Patricia, like that family. Coolest. All right, hold on. Here we go. Yeah, it is. It's The Price of Honor is the name of it. Y'all have got to watch it. It is on Prime. I'm sure you could probably YouTube it too if you wanted to, but it is what? Nonstop mom. This is good homework. It'll be helpful. Oh, good. Kesh Chick will do it. See, y'all be like Kesh Chick. You see how Kesh Chick is? I'll do homework. The aunt and the mom are in it a lot. And the only reason I want you guys to watch it is because normally I would say, I like to do it where we don't know a whole lot about the case and we're just talking about it as if we were on the jury. Okay. But, Molson Man, would you please give Kez Chick a gold star? She is our good noodle for the day. I have not cement shoes, but the reason I want you guys to watch it is because, and I'm sure they're going to go into it, but just because, it's just a fascinating documentary. It really illustrates the family dynamic, not just between Patricia, Yaser, Islam, Amina, and Sarah, but between Connie and her sister and her their mother is also in the documentary, and you just like you just got to watch it. It will really, really help. Kez knows that Jen Lou prefers cherry sours to apples.
Ladies and
gentlemen, the jury, please disregard the last statement made by the witness. It was non-responsive to the state's question and not noted. Yes, Mr. Lawyer?
And we would further object, if this gets into the area of extraneous offenses, we'd like a running objection, we rear the motion made about extraneous offense.
Thank you. That's noted.
And we move for mistrial.
That's denied. State may proceed.
Keep in mind, there's been two witnesses. Two. This is the second witness. They're moving for a mistrial.
So, I was asking about the many times that the family would meet. Yaser, Patricia, Islam, Amina, and Sarah. And you said that was often, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Without going into the specific instances of when, you said they move around the DFW area. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And would you always know where they were moving to?
No.
Okay. Patricia, did Patricia have a lot of friends? Do you
No,
remember? No?
no, she didn't.
Okay. Outside of you as family, do you know if she was able to have a lot of people visit often?
No.
Okay. Without going into why, okay, was there ever a time when Patricia and the kids came and lived with you?
Yes.
And this was the time when Patricia left Yaser?
Objection leading.
Yes,
Okay. So it was Patricia,
You
Islam,
reckon object to
Amina,
that?
and
That was
Sarah.
a leading question.
yes.
How long did they live with you?
I don't
Around 4
understand it
months.
either. Far away eyes. I don't. I
And
don't.
when was
And
this?
we're going to hear from her tonight. So
So dates. Don't tell me why they lived with you, but when was this? Would have been around 1998 or 1999?
Yes, around,
Does that sound familiar?
yes, 98.
At some point, did the girls leave and go back to their
do the
home?
years 1998,
Did Patricia and the
1999
kids
sound
leave
familiar
your home
to
and go
you?
back to their home
I
together?
can't.
Yes,
Was that common? Did
yes,
Patricia leave on other
Look at
occasions?
nonstop
Yes.
mom trying to
That
be a
always
whole
the reason
rebel
why.
rouser, trying to copy
Yes, she did.
homework.
Okay. And where would Patricia go when she would
Bless it.
leave Yaser's home, their home?
family.
Did she ever try getting an apartment on her own?
She did.
Where was that apartment?
And you was,
Did the defendant know where that apartment was?
yes,
How long was Patricia be gone for? You said 4 months with you.
All right,
average,
closed
you call
reviews. I'm
it
gonna
a short
keep my
period of
eye on
time,
you
she
and
comes home
nonstop
and
mom.
she's
I'm
gone
gonna have
for
to have
7
y'all
months.
move seats.
short period of time.
Now, you said she would also go and live with family. Did she ever live with your mom?
Yes,
Is your mom still living?
no, she's not.
What's her name?
Patricia,
Same name.
yes,
Outside of these times when Patricia.
I'm
would
done
leave
with
the
Vincent's
Saeed
missing ear
house,
too.
would she come and visit you guys often? Would she come and stay with you guys? With her family? Would she spend a lot of time with her side of the family?
yes,
Okay? Would she spend a lot of time with the Saeed side of the family?
yes.
Thank you, Aussie
Who
girl
would she
Jen.
spend time with more? The Saeeds or your family?
With, Yaser's family, the Saeeds.
Did Patricia work?
Yes,
Where did she work?
You don't have to know the
you want me
answer.
to name all the places?
Sure, let's ask about in 2007. Where was she working then? Do you remember?
At Kroger.
Okay. What was she doing for Kroger?
She was stalking,
She was a stalker?
yes,
Yes, I do know that
Did
song.
Patricia ever go back to school or get a GED that you know
she didn't receive a GED, but she did take some classes.
of? Okay. You said, do I need to know about every job? Give me some examples of other work that Patricia would do. She was a
You
stalker at
girls.
Kroger. Where else did she work?
She worked at Burlington Coat Factory,
Burlington Coat Factory. Where else?
she worked at Walmart,
Okay.
she worked at, a couple of different.
If they lived in the
stores.
Hurst Julius Bedford area and that's where she worked,
She worked at
I've
HEB.
been to that
Okay. Did she always hold her a
Burlington Coat
job?
Factory. When we first moved from Arizona, we lived in
Was she always working?
Euless.
That's the only question I answer.
Okay. If you can't answer it, then I'll move along.
All right. You should, coolest reviews. It's doing your due diligence. You should review some Blue Dream.
So when we talk about the family meeting and moving to different areas or coming to stay with family, coming to stay with you, Patricia maybe getting an apartment and her going back home, were there any times, or do you know of how, or the reasons why Patricia would go home?
Yes,
Okay, and would that be because of the defendant?
yes,
Okay. Would he ask her to come home?
yes,
Okay. Did you ever personally observe him asking her to come home or demanding for her to come home?
yes,
Okay. And was that when she was living with you with the kids?
yes.
How often would he make those demands or have those calls? Or drive by?
He called every day, one call right after another.
Would y'all pick up the phone or let the phone ring?
Would pick up the phone and hang it up.
Never.
Would he ever do any drive-bys?
Well, it depends on what time you're asking about.
What about the time that she came to live with you? 1998, 1999,
No, he didn't know where we were living.
okay? If he did know where you were, or where she was, excuse me, Patricia and the girls and Islam, would he drive by to come see them? Or ask them to come home?
Yes,
Would he make repeated phone calls?
yes,
Now, did your mom end up having a house that y'all didn't know about?
yes,
And
This
where was that house located?
and Duncanville,
Would that be a safe haven that Patricia could go to with kids?
yes,
Would she go there?
yes,
But she would eventually come home.
right.
Now, Connie, going back to the girls, Amina and Sarah, who was the oldest?
Amina,
Okay? And how old was Amina at the time of her death? Do you remember?
yes, she was 18,
And how old was Sarah?
17.
Tell the jury a little bit about their personalities. What was Amina like?
Bubbly, happy, very smart. Great girl.
What did you say?
A great girl.
Great girl?
Yes,
Did she have a favorite color?
she did.
What was that?
Pink,
Pink.
yes.
Was everything in pink?
She liked a lot of pink, not everything was in pink.
A lot of pink, okay. And tell me about Sarah. What was her personality like?
She was headstrong, but she was happy as well, very, very energetic, very pretty.
Did Sarah like sports?
She did.
What kind of sports did she like?
Soccer,
Soccer?
yes.
I like soccer too.
Were the girls good in school? Did they make good grades?
They made, yes, excellent grades.
And do you remember what school they were attending?
Louisville High School.
Did the girls have any future goals? Did they decide that they wanted to be career-wise?
Yeah, they both wanted to be doctors.
Oh, wow.
Did they want to go to college?
Yes,
Well, if they want to be doctors, they have to go to college.
And you said Amina was 18 and Sarah was 17 at the time.
yes.
Okay? Now, may I approach the witness?
Yes, you may.
Oh, I wonder what she's approaching with. Let's see.
Ms. Maggio, I'm handing with the mark that states exhibits 1 and 2. Do you recognize these photos?
I do.
Okay? And who are you?
Amina and Sarah.
States 1 is Amina,
Yes,
and states 2 is Sarah.
right.
And about how old would they have been in these photos?
18 and 17.
So Amina would have been 18,
Yes,
and Sarah would have been 17.
right.
So this is how they looked right about the time of the murder.
Yes,
Okay? This time state offers 1 and 2.
We have no objection.
Six exhibits 1 and 2 are admitted for all purposes.
Permission published to the jury, Your Honor.
You may.
Let's see.
Now, Sarah's wearing a Hollister shirt.
yes,
Do they like Hollister?
they did.
They have a lot of clothes from Hollister?
Yes,
Young girls like to shop.
oh yeah,
This is important for the jury to hear from their aunt, right? What kind of girls they were. They've got, it's important for the jury
Ms. Maggio, I'm also
to
handing you state exhibit number 3.
know them as
Who's in front?
humans as much as they
Sarah and
can.
Amina.
Okay? So we have somebody here on the left and somebody here on the right. Can you identify both of those?
Yes,
Opt out
Sarah's
of
on the
what?
left,
What do you
Amina's on
want
the
to
right.
opt out of?
And they're wearing some
Coolest
type of
reviews.
fringe jacket.
Yes,
Are you familiar with that jacket? You
Oh.
seen it?
I haven't seen it, no.
Okay. But tell us what it looks like.
It has fur around the head,
Brown.
brown, yeah, it's like a really light brownish color.
They look identical, don't they?
Yes,
Identical twins. State offers, it states exhibit 3.
No objection.
Commissioner
Six
Publish.
exhibit number 3 is admitted for all purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Commissioner
You
Publish.
may go. So long as it doesn't block my image.
Oh, no, I don't think you can opt out. You see what happened? Well, I mean, that psychiatrist for Amber Heard's side tried to opt out of testifying, and he was denied. He said, "Do I have to answer that?" Oh boy! Hold on, just one sec.
Thank you, Ms. Alonso. And Ms. Maja, you just took a deep breath. I think you know what I'm gonna ask you next. You've identified their live photos. It's also need to identify their autopsy ID photos, okay?
Okay.
Hand you with the marked as State Exhibit 5. Who's that in that photo?
Observed.
You have to stay off for stage 5 for record purposes.
No objection.
Six to five, admitted for record purposes only.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
you
see
need
what
to
you're
stay off for
asking.
stage
All right.
exhibit.
Let me tell you what you. Okay. So, if you are subpoenaed, right, and they call you to the stand, you can take the Fifth Amendment. So anytime a question is asked of you, you can say, "I plead the Fifth." That's where that comes from. So you can. Criminal court. Now, civil court is a little different. If you get a subpoena to a deposition in civil court, you have to go and you have to talk. You have to testify. You can't get out of that. But if you are allowed, even if you're subpoenaed in criminal court, you are allowed to plead the Fifth Amendment. I'll give you a prime example. Warren Jeffs. All right. He took the Fifth Amendment and answered nothing in court. So you are allowed to do that. All right, here we go.
Stay off,
Oh, bless her heart.
State Exhibit 4, Your Honor.
I can't stand to see people
Stay off for
cry.
State Exhibit 4
For record purposes?
for record purposes.
No objection.
Six to four is admitted for record purposes.
Dr. Spiegel was everybody's favorite testimony. And I feel for the girl's family. I really do, because this is a long time coming for them. This happened in 2008. He was on the run for 12 years, apprehended in 2020. And we're now into 2022. Oh, speaking of, hold on. I want to tell you guys this before I forget. I was perusing the YouTubes today, and I learned that there's been a date set for the De Belvallo trial, January, which, okay, it's only August now, but you see how fast this year has gone, right? So it'll be January before we know it. So just to let you guys know. And yes, the ward shall be covering that trial, of course, every second of that trial.
Okay? I know we talked a little bit about past, but now I want to focus in on the weeks leading up to their murders, January 1st of 2008. Okay? Do you recall getting information that Patricia and the girls were on the run?
Yes.
Okay? And from whom? Who called you?
Tizzy.
And who's Tissy?
Oh, Patricia, my sister.
Okay, that's her nickname?
Yes.
Do you remember about when she called you?
She called me on December.
She did try to make a fashion trend.
23rd.
The translator did, bless her heart.
2007?
Yes.
Okay. And what did she tell you?
Oh, yes, Amelia Sparkles. How could I not? This is the trial. We're all going to watch that. I know y'all are going to be watching, and I can't think of anybody else I'd want to watch with than you guys.
Doesn't matter.
It's an exception to hearsay.
Here we go.
Yes, it is.
And it's 3-3.
Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is.
But I haven't heard anything about the defendant's state of mind or.
You're not asking about the defendant's statement.
So-
That's about Patricia's statement.
Yes, Tom.
If I can speak. So the defendant's objection is sustained.
Even though you were
Thank you.
very rude to Your Honor by interrupting her when she was speaking. Let me look. Molson Man. I think that one's coming up pretty soon
When
too.
Patricia called you, what was her demeanor like?
She was scared, she sounded real hyper, real nervous.
So she was excited?
Yes.
Did she talk to you for very long on the phone?
She did not.
Okay, so it seemed like urgency.
October
Yes.
21st. Molson Man.
You want to make the approach?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Amelia Sparkles. She is. So, you guys, we got a lot of really interesting trials coming up. Do you wait? Okay, let's skip ahead just a little bit and get her on cross. Oh dear, hold on. I went too far. Hold on.
Because of the 911 call.
I'll pass this.
This is a good time to take a lunch break.
All right, so they're going to take lunch.
No one can put Yaser Saeed at the.
Yeah, I'm not interested in you guys' opinions. Not for nothing. I don't want to be rude, but
Go easy.
all right. I just want to hear her cross. Hey, Melissa Jade. Good to see you, babe. Thanks for coming in. So I want to hear her cross exam and holy moly.
Well, the state was in the process of examining Ms. Margio. Stay ready to see?
Yes, sir, I'll pass the witness.
Okay.
And I want to hear her cross examination and then
And Ms. Marshall, I'm Brad Lawler. If I ask anything you don't understand, just tell me, we'll get cleared up, okay?
and then I want to listen to Patricia.
You and Patricia were sisters.
We're definitely gonna need a part 2 of this. This is day 1, y'all.
13 months.
Yes.
Is she older or the younger?
Over.
Oh, okay. And what was y'all's maiden name?
Owens.
Owens, okay? And you talked about how Patricia got married to Yaser when she was 15 years of age.
Yes.
And did she get your parents' permission to do that?
Vincent.
And likewise, you were how old when you got married?
I was 15.
13,
No, 15.
15?
Yes,
And did you get your parents' permission to marry your husband?
I did.
Okay. So that was nothing new. That was something that y'all did in your family, right?
I don't understand the question.
Well, you and your sister were both 15 years of age.
Oh, good. Good, coolest reviews.
And you asked her permission, they gave permission, and then you got married.
Yes.
Okay. And now Patricia had first dated Yaser's older brother, Yasin. Is that correct? Your
Yes.
dad? Yes.
Yes.
And turned out he had a girlfriend, so she switched her attention to Yaser and married him soon after.
Yes.
And to the best of your remembrance, they had dated about 2 months before they got married.
Yes.
Now, am I understanding you that
I think it's the best of your recollection, not
you
remembrance,
got a
but
call from Eric?
we'll let it go,
and Lynn,
counselor, because I mess up
and that was
sometimes
Sarah's
too.
boyfriend?
Can you repeat that?
Yes, the night this all happened, you were on your way to Irving. And is that the first that you had heard about them being murdered?
I'm not understanding what you're asking.
Okay, what I'm asking you is, who was the first person you heard from to tell you the girls had been killed?
That the girls have been killed?
Yes.
Detective Henning.
Detective at Irving?
Yes.
And about what time of day was it, if you recall?
I think it was around 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening.
Around 8 o'clock at night?
8 or
She-
9,
he-
yes.
8 or 9?
That's right. Yeah, make him get it right,
You
ma'am.
get a call from one of the boyfriends also.
I did.
And who was that?
Eric.
You sure it was Eric and not Edgar?
Yes.
And his last name was Panamino?
I don't-
Panamino?
I don't know his last name.
And he was dating Sarah?
Right.
Okay. And what time did you get that call?
I got that call around 7, almost 8 o'clock.
7 or 8 o'clock that
Yes,
time? So
yes.
before you heard from the Irving detective, you heard from Eric?
Right. Right.
And what did Eric tell you?
Objection, hearsay, Your Honor.
That would
Same.
absolutely be hearsay.
Did he tell you about the murder?
No.
Okay. Okay. Now,
That's not how they
you said
wanted
many
that to
meetings
go.
In preparation, many meetings with these prosecutors.
Oh,
in
Lord, here we
preparation for
go.
Your testimony here today, is that correct?
Yeah, I
I
feel
would
bad
say
for her
maybe-
too,
You had a few.
coolest reviews. I do.
Okay. And
I
you
feel
remember telling them that to your knowledge, and you were close to Patricia, you know,
Yes.
okay, all the way through this time, you've been close to your sister Patricia,
No.
okay? Was there a period of time when you weren't close to her?
Yes.
When was that?
Molson.
When, she was, yes, or sexual assault.
Remember, you approached the bench, Your Honor?
Here we go. This is going to be a problem. Because the defense is trying to keep this out. Here's the thing, you guys. On an ordinary, regular day, your memory won't be good. That's normal. That is how memory works. If you had an average, if there's nothing remarkable about the day, there's no need to remember it. You know, like I feel like me, for example, I have a large amount of storage in this brain, right? But I've noticed that the older I get, the old data stays, but new data doesn't. Like I can remember lyrics from songs from like my childhood, right? Even if I haven't heard them in a while. Like the other day I was on Messenger with my daughter, and I was video calling with my granddaughter, and she was upset about something, and I busted out singing Elmo's World. Do you know how long it's been since I've heard the song Elmo's World? I mean, why would I haven't watched Sesame Street with a child in, shoot, I don't know, probably 15 years at least. And but I can recall that. You ask me what somebody just testified to 5 minutes ago, and I'm like, not sure. Can't remember. Let me rewind. But I think that that's because I can rewind, so I'm not keeping it. Like my brain is like, we don't need to write this in Sharpie. She can just rewind she can just go back on YouTube. She can just rewind on YouTube. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I feel like my brain is trying to be efficient. Like those you need to keep those song lyrics in your brain, Jen, because your grandbaby just loves it when I sing. Now I'm going to tell y'all, I couldn't carry a tune if I had a handle. All right, but she just loves to hear me sing. It's the cutest thing ever.
Made an accusation of sexual assault. So that would have been in late 1997?
Yes.
Okay.
Trigger warning. I had no idea they were going to come visit this.
that they didn't do it.
Yes,
Okay, that's a month later. And the Hill County DA never proceeded to trial on anything, never charged the defendant with anything.
Objection to counsel testifying.
the same,
Did you know that?
yes,
Okay, and you understand that a doctor examined the girls at the sheriff's office. A doctor, a medical doctor, who's trained in these type of things, and didn't find any evidence of sexual assault.
no, I didn't know that.
Okay. Now, you have told these prosecutors that Patricia was a drug addict.
I do,
Well, she was
Sugar
taking
Bean. I
about
need a
13
court
different
reporter of my
drugs.
very own. Who wants to be Jen Lou's court reporter?
At the time of what?
I'm gonna keep y'all busy.
Tell me,
You'll be
when was she a
busy.
drug addict?
After her girls were killed.
No, this was before.
No,
Yes, ma'am. Can I approach the witness?
Oh dear. I don't know why they're going so hard in the paint for Connie.
Right there.
Your Honor, I'm going to object to improper impeachment. This is not a sworn statement from the witness. This improper impeachment with our witness names.
Mr. Lawler, was that a written statement made by this witness?
No, it is not. I'm using professional recollection.
Well, you can't show her that statement. It wasn't made by her.
It was given to us in discovery by the state.
In addition, Your Honor, the witness did not say that she needed her memory to be refreshed. He is attempting to impeach her on a document that is not a sworn statement that she's made.
Pull that away from her. She can't be reading that.
Well, when was she a drug addict? Or what you told these prosecutors? You were meeting with them on July 7th.
She started taking a lot of medications after her girls were killed.
But not before,
Not that I'm aware of.
okay? So do you think when she was excited, when she was talking to you, it might be because she was a drug addict?
No, because she's scared.
Okay. Did you have a pet nickname for Patricia?
Tizzy,
Tizzy?
yes,
Did you tell them that Tizzy's a very good liar?
I did,
You did.
yes.
And that was back during the time, that's been all the way, right?
I'm sorry?
That's been all the way.
I think
through
I
the
saw
relationship.
Sugar Beat's
Yeah,
hand
you
up.
did.
Sugar Beat, you want to be my
No.
court reporter,
No.
babe?
No.
Okay. When?
It'll mainly be
When did she
jokes.
start lying?
Yeah.
I have snacks. All the
Around
snacks.
1997.
You didn't never tell her lie before then?
I'm sure she did.
You're sure she did?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And speaking of lying, when the Louisville police called you and asked you if you've been in contact with Patricia,
Yes, sir.
And by the beach
they asked
too.
you if you knew where she was,
Yes, sir.
and you didn't tell
I didn't tell him where she, I told him I knew where she was, but I didn't tell him where she was.
them. Right. So you lied to them. You knew where she was, you lied to them.
I told him I knew where she was.
I'm sorry,
I told the police officer I knew where she was.
but you wouldn't tell him where.
Exactly.
Okay. And he asked.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you wouldn't tell him. You wouldn't give him the phone number for Patricia
I wouldn't, I told him I'd contact her and she could call him.
if she wanted to.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, this business about who decided to come back to Daddy, who decided to come back to the home they had, you said it's all on Patricia. Wasn't any of it on Amina and Sarah?
I'm sorry.
Wasn't any of it on Amina and Sarah wanting to come home?
Anytime you're ready, nonstop mom. Anytime you're ready, babe.
So you don't know who it was on.
From what Amina said,
Okay. Did Amina tell you that she was graduating that year and wanted to walk across the stage? And she was getting scholarship offers, she had to be home in order to get the scholarship offers in the mail?
absolutely not.
She didn't tell you that.
She did not.
Wonder if she told anybody else that, you know?
I did not know
How
that.
would she know what she told other people? And that'll be hearsay anyway, so don't be trying to get her in trouble. Late, mister. Almost said lady. Mister. You leaving now,
You don't have any
nonstop?
full
Okay,
statements
oh,
on
leaving
that
for the,
either.
yes, come
Yes,
on.
sir.
And if
Stop
Tizzy
and get
gave a
sunscreen
sworn
because the sun
statement
hits different here, babe.
that Yaser never harmed her or the children, that he was a wonderful father, you wouldn't know anything about that. This was after the allegation of sexual assault.
Bruh.
That would be on her, sir.
I'm sorry,
That would be on her.
that would be on her.
Yes, if she lied in a sworn statement, that would be on her, not on me.
Okay. So you're saying that you don't know anything about that, or you do know about that?
I believe that she lied, yes, sir.
You know that she filed out a sworn statement.
When, sir?
You don't know
Which
that.
time?
Which time?
For what?
What
I know
I'm
she,
asking how many you know about that she made out.
I know she, recanted the story of the assault, back in 98.
I'm sorry?
She recanted the story about the sexual assault in 98. I'm not sure if she signed a sworn statement.
You don't know anything about it?
No, sir.
Okay, have you read the affidavit that she swore out to the police?
Oh, what an inconvenient time for it to cut out.
So you're saying Patricia wasn't taking any kind of drugs back during the time of all this event?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that you're aware of.
Yes, sir.
That's different than saying nothing. Right? Not that you're aware of.
I didn't know if we were taking any drugs, right?
I mean, she's her sister,
You
not her
called
babysitter.
CPS to report Patricia at one point, did you not?
I sure did.
You sure did. When was that?
That was in 98 when she went back to Yaser after the recanted the story.
Because no woman would go back to a man who's accused of molesting their daughter.
That's not true.
Right? And have them all live in the same house together for the next 10 years.
That's not true.
Right?
I called CPS because of the letter Amina wrote me before they went back to Yaser.
All right, that's all the questions we have. Pass it. Oh, wait.
Oh, wait. Oh, I don't like that. Wait. That's not a good sign, y'all.
Did you ever tell Patricia to go back to Yaser?
No,
No, never.
no,
Never.
no, no.
How about December of 2017? I'm sorry, December of 2007. Did you tell Patricia to go back to Yaser?
No,
So if you made a recorded statement where you told people you did do that, were you lying then, you lying now?
Oh,
I'm not
no.
lying, sir.
So
I don't
want
know, sir.
Mr. Jury to play the recording of you telling people that you told Patricia to go back to Yaser.
No, that didn't happen, and if that statement was made, it was a misunderstanding.
That's a misunderstanding, right?
Yeah, I understood your question wrong. I never said that.
You never said it. Okay, that's all the questions we have.
Thank you, Your Honor. Connie, why would you not tell Patricia to go back to Yaser? Why would that be something you wouldn't do?
Because I know what Yaser did to my sister. The youngest one.
Going back to the recantation, there was allegation of child sexual abuse.
Right.
And that was made by Nina and Sarah.
Yes.
How old were they?
9, 10, I think, 8,
Yeah.
9, yes.
Okay. Not going into details of that, but you mentioned a letter. Who wrote you a letter?
Amina,
Okay. And that was after the recantation?
right before,
Right before?
yes.
Okay. And the letter indicated that she wanted to recant or she did not?
She did not.
Okay. Did it say that the letter that it was a lie, that she was forced to recant?
Yes, she did.
What'd you do with the letter?
Guess you.
I hid it in my closet
And why did you hide it?
because I didn't want Jesse to get hold of it, just in case she went back.
What happened to the letter?
I don't know, it disappeared.
Did the girls ultimately recant that child sexual abuse?
Yes,
And let's be clear,
That makes me
Patricia
sad.
left Yaser with the girls after the outcry of sexual abuse. Is that right?
yes,
Okay. And then that's when she came to live with you in 1998 and 1999.
yes,
And then she went back to Yaser months later.
yes.
Because of what? What was he doing?
He kept calling, harassing.
Knowledge, objection. Speculation.
Your Honor, the witness can answer his personal knowledge of this.
If she has personal knowledge.
If you have personal knowledge, you can ask the question.
Yes,
What was Yaser doing?
he was calling my phone all hours of the night. He followed me, to the neighborhood I lived in. And he also went to the school.
Where the girls went to school?
I'm sorry.
He went to the girls' school?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Did a case come out of that? Was there a case filed for retaliation because of him harassing you and Patricia?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And
What objection to this, Your Honor?
Noted.
that case was based on threats that the defendant made to
Yes.
Patricia.
Yes.
Hi, Christine G.
And
Doing
you
the
have personal
naps.
knowledge of
Yes.
Now, Patricia, you call her Tissy.
Yes.
She's your older sister.
Yes.
You love your older sister,
I do.
right?
Yes.
You're still in communication with her.
Yes.
Do you always agree with what Patricia does?
No.
Absolutely not.
Do you agree with the way she handled a lot of things?
No, I do not.
None of us here do
Carl,
either, so
you were
you're not
asked now
alone.
if you're a liar, if you're telling the truth here today, and you were asked why you didn't tell Louisville Police Department where Patricia was when they called you on the missing persons report. Why didn't you tell them where Patricia was?
Patricia was scared of Yaser. I didn't want, the police officer to give Tizzy's location, and she was 18. You can disappear when you're an adult, so,
You talking about Nina?
yes,
Patricia was scared of Yaser, and you were scared of what he might do. Is that right?
yes.
I'll pass the witness.
So this letter's just disappeared. You don't know what happened to it,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So the jury can't
She's
read it
next. We're
Right.
waiting for her.
Right.
You turned it. You
It
came at the
disappeared.
perfect time, babe.
after you get it,
Yes, sir.
okay? And you said that of your own personal knowledge, you know that he was calling on the phone all hours of the night and went to the girls' school.
Yes.
You know that of your own personal knowledge?
Yes.
You saw him at the school?
I did not.
You did not?
No.
So you don't know that, somebody told you about that?
The school told.
Yeah, so somebody else told you about that,
Yes.
okay? So that's hearsay, you don't know any personal, you don't have any personal knowledge about it. You didn't see it with your own eye,
I didn't see him right now.
okay? And you talk about this retaliation case, it was filed on the defendant. You know what
Hey,
happened in that
Heather,
case?
whatever.
I do not.
You don't?
No.
Did you know that Patricia came in and signed an affidavit swearing under oath that the defendant had never touched her, never abused her, never violated her, didn't do anything to the children, didn't do anything? He was a wonderful father and husband to her. You know about that?
No, sir.
You've asked her that twice now.
That's all the question.
Thank you, minutes for this be released. Or does the state have more questions?
No questions at this time, but we ask that this witness be subject to recall.
Thank you, Ms. Martia. You are free to step down, the stage, close, in case the stage order is going to be called, okay?
Okay, thank you.
All right, let me see who they're going to call next. Because I feel like this is after lunch. I think Tissy's next.
Oh, next one.
Thank you, Your Honor. The state calls Sergeant Rad from Louisville PD.
Oh, I lied. That's not right. All right.
You saw her was in 2005, would that be correct?
Yes.
Okay. In December, what date? did you say?
25th, 2007.
The Christmas Day of 2006.
Oh, yes, is low. All of defendant's complaints can be addressed on cross-examination. The then existing mental, emotional, or physical condition is not the defendant. It is any declarant's then existing state of mind, such as motive intent or plan, or emotional, sensory, or physical.
Who dis?
What I focused on and
Teacher.
outside in the hall, that was somebody else's responsibility. And so when Patricia came to speak to you about the grades, you said that the grades were falling and they asked their mom to come and speak to you. Is that right? Yes.
All right, hold on.
What was your opinion of?
It must be day number 2. All right, hold on. Oh, I'm going to find Tissy, y'all. Don't you worry. Hold on. Sorry, you guys. All right, hold on. Let's try day number 3. Found it. I'm just going to get it right to the right part. Okay, guys, just bear with me here. I appreciate your continued patience and support. All right, here we go. All right. Oh, cripes, Jen Lou. It's not what I meant to click. I meant to click share screen and I clicked video file. Hold on. You still in here, Christine G? That's me. All right, here we go, y'all. I'm sorry, nonstop, Mom. I'm sorry. Are you ready? All right, here we go. I think they're going to fix her audio. Oh my gosh. I'm going to block Christine G. That's me for that question. I just didn't have any, I didn't want to put anything up because I didn't want it to be too busy. So I just left it. But yes, we can do something if you want. Oh, look at her. All right, there we go.
Yes, ma'am. It is PATRICIAOWENS. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Why
ma'am.
is the audio so crappy? This is the important one.
Sure. I am from Dallas, Texas.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah, in the ATB area. Yes, ma'am.
And you're gonna have to, I know this mask is so difficult, you have to ask you to speak up just a little bit, okay?
Okay.
All right, I'll pull that mic as close as you can.
Pull that mic like it's the last Twinkie on earth.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Mom
ma'am.
and Dad?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, how old were you when you met, Yaser Saeed?
When I met him, I was 14.
You were 14?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
where did you meet him?
At a convenience store.
Convenience store?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, was the convenience store close to where you lived?
Yes, it was just right next door.
All right, did you live in an apartment or a house?
Apartment.
Okay, how many people lived in that apartment?
There were 6 of us.
6 of you, okay? And how big was the apartment? 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom?
It was a 2-bedroom.
It was a 2 bedroom apartment, okay? Did you also come to know Yaser's younger brother, Yasin Saeed?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and did you know him before you knew Yaser Saeed?
I had him
Yes,
on. I
ma'am.
don't know what happened.
Okay, did you briefly date Yasin Saeed?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, about for how long?
About 5 or 6 months.
5 or 6 months, okay? Is this when you were 14?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were you around 14 when you met his older brother, Yaser Saeed?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you know how old Yaser was when you met him?
Too old to be dating a 15-year-old?
28.
Sorry.
Yes.
So
You're
he's about
welcome.
15 years older than you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, I'll be right back.
Yaser get married?
Yes, ma'am.
Saeed.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how long did you date before you got
Oh,
married?
you're right.
Uh,
I do love me
3
some
3
Costco
weeks.
too, Molson, man.
3 weeks?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. At the time you got married, how old were you?
15.
At the time you got married, how old was Yaser Saeed?
29.
Did you have to get permission from your parents to marry?
Yes, ma'am.
You had a wedding?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
got a wedding dress?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember where you got your wedding dress from?
I'm not for sure.
Okay. All right. When you married at 15 to this almost 30-year-old man, did you move in with him?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Where did you move to?
North Richland Hills.
North Richland Hills. Was it just you and Mr. Saeed in your honeymoon bliss?
No, ma'am. It was other Saeed family members.
Other Saeed family members?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. About how many other people were living in that house when you moved in with him married?
8, I believe it was 8 of us.
Okay, everyone connected to Mr. Saeed?
Yes, ma'am.
And you married, what was the date of your wedding? Do you recall?
February 7th, 1987.
February 7th, 1987.
Yes, ma'am.
When was your first child born?
March 10th, 1988.
March 10th, 1988.
Yes, ma'am.
Going 9 months back, that would have meant you got pregnant around May or June of 1987.
Yes, ma'am.
So around 3 to 4 months into the marriage, at 15, you're pregnant with your first child,
Yes, ma'am.
right? When do you have your second child? What is this? And that's Islam Saeed, correct? First child,
Yes,
a
ma'am.
son.
Yes, ma'am.
His name is Islam Yaser Saeed. Is that right?
His name on his birth certificate is Islam Yaser Fatal Saeed.
Okay. And then you proceed to have your second child,
Yes, ma'am.
Amina,
Yes, ma'am.
all right? And how old? May I have first picture on? You may. Patricia, I'm going to show you what's marked as State's Exhibit number 64. Do you recognize this person in the photo?
Yes, ma'am.
Who is this?
This is a picture of me.
And how old were you about when this picture was taken?
About 14 years old.
14?
Yes, ma'am.
15?
Somewhere in there, yes.
All right. At this time, Your Honor, I'd like to offer the evidence State's Exhibit number 64.
State's exhibit number 64 is admitted for all purposes.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm going to publish to the jury.
You may.
Just to give the jury an idea, this is you around 1986 or 1987 when you met and married Yaser Saeed. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So your second child was born when?
March 16, 1990.
Okay. So March again in 19. Well, I'm sorry, your second child.
Oh, Amina.
Yes.
March 2nd, 1989.
Okay. So 1 year later, you have your second child.
Yes.
So you're around 16 and a half.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And then your third child, Sarah. When is she born?
March 16, 1990.
All right. So 1 year later, when you're around 17 or 18 years old, you have your third child.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The whole time, are you living with the Saeed family?
Yes.
After you get married, do you continue school?
No, ma'am.
Do you get your GED?
No, ma'am.
What do you do after you get married to Yaser Saeed? Do you take care of the children?
Yes, ma'am. I take care of the children and I worked outside the home.
You did? Where did you work?
At the Dollar General.
At the Dollar General?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you work anywhere else?
As years went by, yeah.
Okay. Where did Yaser Saeed work?
When he did work, he would drive a taxi.
Okay, even as far back as 1987?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Or let me correct that if I'm
Sure.
allowed. It was basically in the 90s when he started driving.
It was in the 90s?
Yeah, when
Okay.
he started driving the taxi.
Was he also working at that convenience store when you met him? Y'all seen?
Yes,
Okay, so he was working at a convenience store as well,
yes, he, the same convenience store.
the same convenience store?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, but he didn't hold down a steady job?
No.
At some point, you moved to Hill County,
Yes, ma'am.
okay? And that's, what town do you live in Hill County?
Covington.
Covington?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right, and who is living in Hill County at this time?
Yaser, myself, Amina, Sarah, and Islam.
It's the 5 of you.
Well, his brother and his wife and kids lived there for a short period of time.
Okay, which brother, do you remember?
Usually,
Usually.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. How many brothers does he have?
he has 3 brothers.
3 brothers. So with him, it's 4 boys.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right. So Yusri also lived there for a little while.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And in the fall of 1998, when you're living in Hill County, do your girls, and I'll just say yes or no answer, do your girls make an outcry to you?
Yes.
second. You may.
Okay, Patricia, did the girls, your two girls, Amina and Sarah, make an outcry to you when you were living in Hill County? Just a yes or no answer.
Yes.
All right, and did this outcry have to do with, Mr., with the girls claiming that Yaser Saeed had, touched them inappropriately in a sexual way?
Yes.
All right, what did you do based on that information? Without going into any specific details, did you call the police?
We did make a report. Yes.
You made a report?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and who did you go to make that report?
The Hill County Sheriff's Department.
Okay, you went to the Hill County Sheriff's Department.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Was an investigation done? Did they talk to the girls?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What do you do? Do you and Islam, Sarah, and Amina move out of Hill County?
Yes.
All right, so you leave Yaser Saeed in the fall of 1998, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you recall where you moved to?
Yes, ma'am.
Where?
Duncanville.
Duncanville. Who was living in Duncanville?
My sister.
Your sister. Is that your sister Connie?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you lived with your sister, you and the 3 children.
Yes.
Were you contacted by Yaser Saeed or his brother Yasin Saeed during the time that you were living, that you had left him?
I can't remember.
You can't remember?
Yeah.
Okay. Did he try and talk to you while you were, excuse me, living in Duncanville?
Yes. He called my mom's phone.
Okay. He called your mom's phone?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Did he know anything about this house in Duncanville?
No.
Okay. So he only knew about your mom, where your mom lived.
Yes.
Where did your mom live at the time?
In Garland.
In Garland. So he would call your mom's phone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Was Yasin, the brother, also trying to get in touch with you?
Yes, ma'am.
At some point during this open investigation, do you call Garland police regarding a threat that Yaser had made?
Yes.
All right. Would that have been around November 11th,
Yes, ma'am.
1998?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Your Honor, at this time, we'd like to hear your ongoing objection.
No,
Can we run an objection on that, Your Honor, as we've cited multiple times? So,
that's fine.
Okay. So the outcry.
Okay, so there's a couple of things I want to address. Let me address Miss Christine G. That's me first. I think she's calling him. She's saying Mr. Saeed, not Yasin. That's the first thing. And the second thing is this. Okay. The reason that the defense is working so very hard at keeping this outcry out of the jury's ears is because there was an outcry made, there was a report done and taken, but as you heard between the Connie and the defense attorney, that argument, that's what this was about. Basically, what the defense is saying is Patricia wrote out a sworn statement basically recanting the outcry, and that and so it goes to Patricia's credibility. Now, why she would do that, there's all kinds of reasons why she would do that. Okay, it doesn't mean that he did it, and it doesn't mean that he didn't do it. I don't know, I wasn't there, but the defense definitely does not want the jury to hear this. And the truth is, it's highly prejudicial, especially if the mother withdrew the complaint. And so that's why they're trying to keep it. That's why they're working so hard to keep this out. Okay. I believe children. I believe children until I'm given evidence otherwise, but I will not, I don't, but I wasn't there, so I don't know what happened. Nonstop mom. No, I wanted to, I don't, we're never going to find that dadgum yellow cup. That dadgum yellow cup is lost. All right. Now I'm not going to talk. So please adjust your volume accordingly. Here I go.
By the girls to you in Hill County was in October of 1998.
Yes, ma'am.
And you moved to Duncanville
Yes, ma'am.
after you make the report. And on or about November 11th of 1998, you make a report with the Garland Police Department.
Yes, ma'am.
And Garland is where your mother is living.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that's how Yaser can get to you because he knows your mother, and if you're at your mother's house, he can call over there.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did you actually have, and you had contact with Mr. Saeed during that time?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And during that time, the reason that, why did you make the report with Garland PD? What were you reporting to Garland PD? What was he threatening to do? What did he want from you?
He wanted me to go back to him.
Did he want you to do anything about the charges against him by the girls?
He really didn't talk about those charges.
Okay. Okay. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
All right, but do you recall going to Garland and giving a statement to the Garland police?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Okay. Mrs. Owens, I want to show you this. Does this look familiar to you? Do you need to put glasses on?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a statement that you wrote?
Yes, ma'am, it
Is
is.
that a statement that you signed?
Yes.
Have you signed it on or about November of 1998?
Yes, ma'am.
November 18th?
As I recall, yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. And can you, with this statement, help you refresh your memory?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Were you able to read it in its entirety?
Yes, ma'am.
You were?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And according to this statement, what is Yaser wanting you to do?
He wants me to come back to him. Can I make a please receipt?
Just take your time,
Okay.
Ms. Owens. Read your statement that you signed November 18th, 1998.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And in this statement, what did Mr. Saeed want you to do?
I,
They're trying to enter this statement in with a guide to a memory refresh. She stated she doesn't recall. She stated when she did recall, when she was starting refreshing on this, she still did not provide answer to the statement on it. So no matter how many times she reads, I believe the correct testimony would be for actually remember actual memory stuff again.
Overruled.
Mrs. Owens, what did Yaser want you to do?
I want to go back to him. And if I do not go back to him, he's going to kill me and my family.
Okay. He threatened to kill you and your family.
Mm.
Okay. And did he want you to kill you for filing charges on him in Hill County?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, on the jet, the state is continuing to lead this witness on this path. The witness can remember what she remembers. She can testify that memory. They can obviously refresh her memory as needed, but they need to quit leading the state down this path. I mean, I'm sorry.
Did not ask you questions.
Yes, Your Honor. Okay. In this statement, what did he say he would do to you?
That he would kill me.
Okay. Okay. And what would happen to him?
What would happen to him? I really don't remember.
Ms. Owens, can you speak up a little bit?
Yes,
If you don't
ma'am.
mind, can you pull the mic closer to you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Owens, do you recall stating, Mayor Pro Tem,
You may.
Mrs. Owens, when you read this statement,
Mm.
when you refresh your memory as to what he threatened you and what he said he would do?
May I read it from here or
Just read your whole statement.
out loud?
No. Read it to yourself
Okay.
first.
Okay, are we ready? Okay, I hope so. So, to Christine G's point, that's correct. I mean, as Connie, I don't think Connie testified to it, but I know that Patricia did. Old Tizzy here. Um, they lived, 6 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. That's a lot. So, that's a problem. And I think that Christine G is correct. I think that that's exactly what took place. I think that they were poor, and they allowed they married off their daughters. That's what happened. There was something else that I wanted to address too, but now I can't remember. Okay. I know what it was. So everything that's going on right here, there is a part of me that feels like, yeah, 8 people, you're right, far away eyes. Then, okay, there is a part of me that feels that part of the reason this is a struggle for her is because I don't think that living with him was a pleasant experience for her. And I do think on some level she is intimidated and afraid of him. And so having to sit there and talk about the things that he, allegedly said to her or the threats that he made towards her is difficult. However, this is one of those times when you'd want to prep your witness. She's a witness that clearly needs to be prepped. And all they want you to do, Tizzy, is just read silently in your head. Exactly, Chick. Read silently in your head your sworn statement there. And then she's going to ask you questions about it. And then you answer those questions to the best of your ability. Okay, I'm going back on mute and I'm going to push play. Here we go.
Okay. Now, you've already stated that he threatened he would kill you if you didn't drop the charges,
Yes,
all right?
I'm just pleading.
Oh, just-
Thank you. And you've already previously stated that he would kill you if you didn't drop the charges.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. In this statement, did he say what would happen to him?
He said nothing would happen to him.
Nothing would happen to him.
Nothing would happen to him.
Okay, and why?
I don't remember, ma'am.
May I first witness, Your Honor? Mrs. Owens. Can you read the statement again? So you can tell the jury what would happen to him? Where would he go and what would he do? Okay. Mrs. Owens, this is a statement that you wrote, correct?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
remember writing the statement?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
signed the statement?
Yes, ma'am.
At this time, Your Honor, I would like to offer State's Exhibit 247 into evidence as a prior consistent statement.
I would object, Your Honor, this is a hearsay statement, which is testimony will be the best source of that information. If she does not recall, she does not recall. It also goes back to the original arguments that we've made about the admissibility of these statements, the credibility of those statements, the relevancy, balancing act, it's unduly prejudicial, with very little probative value under 403. And so 401, 402, 403, in addition to 404, based on the predicate and the testimony of this witness, we would ask that this statement and any other extraneous acts based on this information be stricken from the record and that she not be allowed to go into it.
What's the state's response?
Your Honor, the State's response is, I have given her ample opportunities to refresh her memory, her very long, difficult memory on this statement, State's Exhibit 247. That's a sworn statement that she wrote that is notarized, and at this time, because she cannot recall, whether due to her nervousness or the time that has passed, she cannot recall. I would like to get the statement into evidence as a prior consistent statement. And it is relevant. It is directly relevant to the sequence of events in this case.
This is,
response. You wanted to say something else, sir?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
As we all know, the rules of evidence go to the credibility of that evidence. That's why they exist, why we have exceptions to those rules. In this situation, the credibility of the statement has fallen apart, and because the credibility of these allegations is in question, determine the credibility based on the witness's testimony, the multiple refreshes, and it would be inappropriate to enter this hearsay document into evidence to support their 404 extraneous offense.
Okay, I'll take that under advisement. Go ahead, counsel. Continue with your examination of chief.
Okay. Is there a ruling on this?
I'll take that under advisement.
Okay, so you just want me to continue?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Mrs. Owens. So you went to Garland Police and you made this report, and he was charged with retaliation. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ultimately, though, you dropped those charges. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Of the retaliation.
Yes, ma'am.
During this time, and before you dropped the charges on the retaliation, and while the Hill County charges are pending, do you also apply for a protective order against Yaser Saeed?
Yes, ma'am.
And that's on behalf of the girls.
Yes, ma'am.
And that was in 1998 as well?
I believe so.
And
Yes.
that was filed in October of 1998. Is that
Yes.
correct?
I believe so.
All right. And you did this application for a protective order in Dallas County, where you were living at the time,
Yes, ma'am.
in Garland, Texas.
Yes, ma'am.
And you did it on behalf of the girls, Amina and Sarah.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So just for the jury clarification, we have the Hill County charges in October of 1998. You applied for a protective order in October of 1998.
Yes, ma'am.
And just
I
for
apologize for
clarification.
interrupting here, but the state needs to stop leading this witness and telling her her testimony. She either recalls or she does not recall. And telling her the prompts to the answers is inappropriate. It's leading, and we object that they should be asking her appropriate questions for direct examination unless they're going to declare her a hostile witness and then allow them to cross-examine her.
Sustained. Counsel will desist from leading the witness.
Yes, Your Honor. After you applied for the protective order in Dallas County, just to clarify, the retaliation charges were in November. Is that right?
I believe so.
Okay. You dropped the retaliation charge,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, in late 98, early 1999,
Yes, ma'am.
okay? And you never went through with the protective order in late 98 and 1999.
True. Yes, ma'am.
Did you go back to Yaser Saeed?
Yes.
Did you bring the girls back to Yaser Saeed?
Yes.
Okay. And Islam as well?
Yes.
Did the girls ultimately recant the charges of any kind of sexual abuse against their father?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you take them to Hill County in order to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
And were those charges dropped?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you continue to live with Yaser Saeed?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you go back?
At what point?
I'm sorry?
At what point are you?
After the charges and the protective order
Okay.
and the retaliation, why did you go back?
Actually, I was scared not to go back.
You were scared not to go back.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What were you scared about? What did you think was going to happen to you?
Yes, it was abusive.
Were you scared of getting hurt?
Yes, ma'am.
After you moved back in with him, at some point, do you guys, we're going to jump ahead a little bit. Do you live in Bedford, Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And this would have been around 2005, 2006?
Yes, ma'am.
During the time between 1998 and 2005 and 2006, did you leave Yaser? Can you recall?
Can you repeat the question?
Just during this time from when you went back to him in around 1999 until living in Bedford around 2005 and 2006, did you leave Yaser during any of that period of that time?
Your Honor, no.
Over.
Yes.
You had left him before?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember where you went?
To my mom.
To your mom's. Okay. Okay. Did you leave him more than once during that period of time?
I've left him several times.
Would you take the kids with you?
Yes.
Why did you leave him?
He was patrolling, abusive.
Okay. And the same question, why would you go back?
I was just scared.
Okay. When you would go to your mom's with the kids, were you working?
No, ma'am.
I'm sorry?
No, ma'am.
Okay, you gotta keep speaking up, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. When you were living with Yaser Saeed, was he working?
Sometimes, not all the time.
Okay, all right. Well, there was some income coming in for you and the kids.
Yes, ma'am.
Around 2005 and 2006, Amina and Sarah would have been 15, 16?
Yes.
Okay, and you're living in Bedford?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did they go to school?
It was, I mean, I was in Trinity High School, and Sarah went to Harwood and junior high.
Okay. And when you, at that time, did the girls start taking karate classes?
I mean, I did.
Amina started taking
Yes, ma'am.
karate classes?
Yes.
Okay. Did Sarah go along at first?
She went to one class, but she wasn't really into.
All right. Who would take them to karate?
At first, I would, and then Amina got a car, and she would drive herself.
Okay, all right. Did she get a boyfriend around that time? Or start talking to a boy?
Yes,
Were you aware of it?
yes.
Were Amina and Sarah allowed to date?
No,
I'm sorry?
no, ma'am.
No.
No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Did you tell Yaser that she had met a boy at the karate class?
No.
And why not?
He wouldn't allow it.
He wasn't gonna allow it?
No,
Okay. But the girls would tell you if they were seeing someone?
yes, ma'am.
Do you know if Yaser became aware of her dating Joseph at the karate class?
Amina and Joseph wasn't like dating boyfriend, girlfriend. They were like friends.
They were
Like,
friends?
you know, like if I had a friend that was a guy,
Okay,
but, they weren't like boyfriend, girlfriend.
okay. Well, did Yaser become aware that she was hanging out with this guy, Joseph?
Um, I don't know. I'm
At
sorry.
some point, did you abruptly move to Louisville around this time?
We did to Louisville, yes.
This was, do you remember when?
I would say 2006.
Okay, but it was during the girl's school year?
Yeah.
Okay. And it was around the time that she was seeing this Joseph kid, would that be true, the karate classes?
Yes,
And Yaser Saeed made the decision to uproot the entire family and move from Bedford to Louisville, correct?
yes.
Did he give a reason why to you?
That he wanted to move closer to his job.
His job, what was his job?
At that time, he was driving a taxi.
Okay. Okay. And when you moved to Louisville, where did the girls go to school?
Louisville, Mina went to Louisville High School,
Okay.
and Sarah went to Louisville High.
Were the girls good in school?
Yes, there was.
Okay. Did they seem to like it?
Oh, they loved it.
All right. But during this time, were they allowed to date?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And they're 16, 17 years old,
Yes, ma'am.
18?
Yes, ma'am.
So during their young life, they never went to a movie with a boy?
Actually, Amina went to Joseph's grandmother's birthday party.
Okay. Mr. Saeed didn't know about that?
No, ma'am.
Okay. She told you,
Yes, ma'am.
and you guys kept it from your husband?
Yes.
And then so they never had a boy pick them up and take them to a movie?
No,
That would have been allowed?
no.
While the time that they were at Louisville High School, or where are you working?
At Kroger.
Okay, what are you doing at Kroger?
I was a GM clerk and front end clerk.
Can you say that again?
I was a GM clerk and a front end clerk.
Okay. Did you say GM clerk?
Yeah.
Okay. Did the girls start working there?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you work there first?
Yes, ma'am.
The girls started working there while they were in high school?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did the girls end up meeting boyfriends at the Kroger?
Yes, ma'am.
Who did Sarah meet?
Eric.
Did he work there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and who did Amina meet?
Edgar.
Right. How did she meet Edgar?
He was a customer.
He was a customer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did the girls begin dating these boys?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you aware of it?
Yes, I was.
Did they tell you?
Yes, sir.
As far as you knew, was Yaser Saeed aware of it?
No.
Would he have disapproved?
Yes.
Okay. Did you keep it from your husband?
Yes, I did.
No, because chicken's not.
Do you know how the girls would see the boys? I'm assuming Sarah would see Eric at work, but how would Amina see Edgar?
I mean, it wasn't a program, a work program, where she could go back in the mornings and leave, get out early to go to work.
Okay. And that would be the times that she would,
And that would be the times that Edgar would pick her up. And then when it was time for school to go, get out, he would drop her back off at school.
okay, okay. Because he was in college at the time.
Yes, ma'am,
All right. Did you like both boys?
I did.
All right. And were they polite to you?
Very,
Very?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Um. And you thought they were appropriate to date your daughters?
yes,
You liked them well enough?
yes.
All right. Do you know what Mr. Saeed would do if he found out they were dating?
I really didn't know. I mean, I just thought he was like,
I just had a thought and I have to share it with you
take like
guys.
their phone away or something like that.
Okay.
So, Faraway Eyes, was raised an interesting point by saying that when she left, she was safe, right? So, the leaving is the hardest part, right? Typically. So I was thinking about this. Where did she leave and go to? The majority of the time she left and went to her family. Now think about this. When you're 15 years old and an old she was married at 28 to a 28-year-old, 29-year-old. Okay, almost 30 years old. I wonder if she was thinking, because one of the things that she said is that Yaser told her that if she didn't drop those charges, that he was going to kill her family. And I'm kind of wondering if she believed him. If she believed that he could get to her family. After all, he was able to convince her parents to sign away, sign rights to allow a marriage. And it's a dichotomy, because here she is at 15 and he has married her and he has gotten her pregnant. She had 3 kids under 3 years old at one point, one right after the other, right? And yet her girls, who are roughly the same age as she was when she married their father, are not allowed to date. So now I'm sort of thinking, with time and experience, did she look back on what happened with her parents Yaser was able to convince her parents to allow him to marry her. We're not talking about a 15-year-old and a 21-year-old. We're talking about a 15-year-old and a dadgum near 30. That's a huge age gap. Even 15 and 21 is a huge age gap. But there's also a huge age gap between 21 and 30, just, chronologically and emotionally, maturity wise. So I'm sort of wondering if she was inclined if she actually did really believe that Yaser could hurt her family and get away with it. Do you know what I mean? That's all I wanted to say. And maybe, I don't know.
But
All right. But it was enough for you not to tell him, though, correct?
yes,
Okay. So just taking the phone away is a punishment granted, but y'all actively kept this from him. True?
we got the point, yes.
Okay. 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 At some point, let's see, we're now in the fall of 2007. Y'all are working at Kroger and the girls are dating Edgar and Eric.
Mhm.
Okay. Getting close to December of 2007. At some point, look at any phone bills.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recall about what month that was, or how close to the murders?
I'm gonna say like within 34 months.
Okay.
He
Was
had,
there something in the phone bill that he didn't like?
he would call the phone. He would get like Amina's phone and dial the number to one of her contacts. And if a boy answered, he would say, he would write beside it boy. If a girl answered, he would write girl. And he did it to all of the phone bill.
Okay. So he was going through the phone bill, seeing if there were boys or girls on the phone.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know, or were you there Did he confront Amina or Sarah about dating either Edgar or Eric?
No.
Okay. All right. Sometime though in December of 2007, the girls decided they want to run away.
Yes, ma'am.
How do you find out about this?
They told me.
They told you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Do you recall when this was?
It was in December.
Well, yes, Texas is a death
week
penalty
before
state. The
Christmas.
death penalty is not on the table in
Yes,
this
ma'am.
case. I just looked it up. If he's found guilty of capital
Um,
murder, it's an
because
automatic
they
life
wanted
without
to,
parole.
Be able to do, or date Eddie and Eric, or Edgar and Eric.
Okay. Eddie being Edgar.
Yes.
I think it's pretty
Why is it
accurate,
Yes.
because
Did they
Chick,
give you any other reasons?
Just, they did,
I mean, as accurate as
Why
a
did you want
documentary
me to
can
run
be,
away from
honestly.
home?
They can't show all the things.
uh,
Oh, why? Yeah.
And I agree.
Why?
because,
Christine
Yaser,
G, that's
we thought
huge.
Yaser found out that they were
Anaphylaxis,
dating
hey!
the
Yeah,
boys.
it's not on the, it's not on the table for this case.
I'm not for sure.
They were scared enough to run away.
Yes, ma'am.
What was the plan?
Uh,
Did anything happen specifically right before to make the girls want to leave?
I don't remember.
Okay. They didn't tell you about anything specific that made them want to leave.
Oh, yes, ma'am. They said they were gonna run away.
Was there something specific that happened that they told you to make them want to run away?
Sarah said that, Yaser had threatened Amina.
Okay. He had threatened Amina.
Yes, ma'am.
What did he threaten her with?
Again,
A gun. Right? When did they tell you this? It's okay. You don't have to give the exact date. This one, I know that's hard. This was before they ran away though.
yes,
Did defendant keep a gun in the house? Did
yes,
Yaser Saeed keep a gun in the house?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. And were you aware of this gun?
Yes.
Do you have any idea what kind of gun it was?
I don't remember.
You don't remember what type of gun?
No, ma'am.
Was it a handgun?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so after this threat with the gun, did they tell you why he threatened them with the gun?
No, she didn't say why they threatened her with a gun.
All right. Did you confront Yaser Saeed about what he did to the girls?
No, I know better not to because then he would have got a piece of for me.
Okay. You knew better not to.
Yes.
What was the plan to run away? And by that, what did you put in place to run away?
I told the girls to put clothes in a trash bag.
Okay, you gotta speak up on this. This is important. You told the girls to put clothes in the trash bag.
Yes, so that, so when we just could grab the bags and throw them in the car and leave.
Okay,
I think
And you thought
Patricia
this
has a
would be
new set of
less
teeth, and I think
suspicious
she's
to the
having a
defendant.
struggle
Why?
with the talking.
Because we would donate clothes to, the needy,
okay.
so,
So you told the girls to put the clothes in the trash bags because it would be less suspicious because he would think you're donating clothes.
yes.
Okay. And what were you waiting on? What were you waiting on in order to get out?
For him to leave to go to work.
Okay. Did he work here and there?
He just worked whenever he wanted.
Okay. But it was important for you for him to be out of the house when y'all left.
Yes.
How many days?
No,
did it
it's
take
not,
for him
Molson.
to finally go to work?
I believe it was 4,
4 days? And what day did he finally go to work?
Christmas Day.
All right. Around what time?
It was in the evening.
Okay. Evening.
Yes,
Dark out.
yes,
Okay. And Edgar and Eric were involved in this plan.
yes.
So all right, Islam is in the house. Does he know about this plan?
No,
Does anybody tell him?
no.
Why not?
Because we knew that he would contact his dad and tell him where we were.
So you don't tell your son, they don't tell their brothers because he would have contacted Yaser Saeed.
Yes, ma'am.
So Islam's there though on Christmas Day in the evening after Yaser goes to work.
Yes.
What do you tell him?
That we was going to go to Quick Trip and get a drink.
We'll get a drink.
Yeah,
Okay, so you lie to your son
I did not to my son.
to get the girls out of there.
Yes.
Whose car do you get into?
I got into a Honda
Is that your car?
It was, Mawson and Mary gave it to me.
You were
And
driving that
I
car?
was driving the car, yes,
The car you were driving?
yes.
Before you leave, do you take any money?
Yeah, I did.
How much money?
I believe it was $4,000.
$4,000.
Yes,
That, Mr. Saeed kept.
yes,
Okay, but y'all are married.
yes,
I believe that
You
Kezchik, I
get
think he
$4,000.
used her
Yeah.
son to watch her and the
the bags of
girls.
clothes.
yes.
So like
Okay.
Yaser would have been first in
Alright.
charge,
Thank
and
you.
then
Are you doing
second
okay?
in charge would have been
Okay.
Islam.
When you, where do you go?
We put the car in to, Eddie's garage.
Okay, that'd be Edgar,
Edgar.
Ruiz.
Then there, we left and went to,
Hold on one second. Who all left in Eddie's car?
Eddie, Eric, Amina, Sarah, and myself,
Okay. And where do y'all head?
Oklahoma,
Okay, but then you detour to,
Kansas.
why?
We were gonna go stay with, one of my aunts,
What's your aunt's name?
Jill.
All right, and do you get to the aunt's house?
Yes.
All right, once you get to the aunt's house, what do y'all decide for as a group?
That we wasn't gonna stay there, that the place we was gonna stay was not livable.
All right, so where do y'all take off to?
We go back to Tulsa, Oklahoma.
All right, and what do you do when you get to Tulsa?
We found an apartment and rented it.
Can you say that again?
We rented an apartment.
You rented an apartment.
Yes, ma'am.
And how long were you in this apartment?
Mm, We stayed like 2 nights there,
Okay.
and then we came back to Dallas.
Yeah, I don't know, babe.
Talking about the preparation of this travel,
Mhm.
did the clothes, and you did and you got the money.
Yeah,
What did you do
this
with
whole
the funds?
situation is
Yes,
terrible.
Yes, we did.
And there's
What did you do
no,
with the funds?
I don't
We
know,
took
there's just
the
no
SIM
easy
cards out
answers, I
and
don't
broke
think.
them.
And you
but-
took SIM cards.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you get a
I don't
burner
know.
phone?
We got when we got to Oklahoma, we got a prepaid.
A prepaid phone?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
I will
You could
say her
communicate with the
demeanor
community.
and stuff is far
Okay.
different in this
While you're in Oklahoma,
testimony than it was in the
are you
documentary.
getting messages from Yaser Saeed or Yasin Saeed
Yes, ma'am.
on your phone?
They were calling Amina's phone and my phone and leaving messages on the voicemail.
And also
even
Christine,
without the
her
SIM card,
son
they
would
could
have been
they could leave
19.
messages.
Yes.
Okay.
So
And what was Yaser
an adult
Saeed
and
saying to
capable
you on the
legally in
message?
Texas of making his own decisions.
To come back home, that was the girls in my home, and if we didn't want him there, he would leave. And then Yasin, he said that go home, that's your house, and yes, agreed that if we did not want him there, that he would leave.
Okay. So they said everything will be okay.
Yes,
Everything will be all right
yes,
if you come home.
yes, ma'am.
Did he say he would be better, that he would change?
He just basically all he said was trying to convince me to come back.
Trying to get you to come back?
Mhm.
Okay. During this time as well.
Hold on a
are you in
minute.
contact with your sister Connie?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
How could Islam be the younger brother if there's 3 children and she had a son first, then she had Amina, and then she had Sarah? Islam has to be the older brother. I'm Googling.
And does Connie relate to you that, something about the Louisville Police Department?
Yes, yes, I had reported me and Amina.
It's not
missing?
Cement Shoes. It's on Prime, I
Not
think.
Sarah, you and Amina.
No, not Sarah.
Okay. And did she give you anything?
Did Connie give me anything? She gave me a message to call the Louisville detective.
Okay. And did you do so?
I did.
All right. And what did you tell the Louisville detective?
He asked if I was okay and if the girl was okay and if Sarah was with us. And I said we are okay. And yes, Sarah was with us. And he asked where I was and I told him and he said okay.
Okay. Did you tell him not to contact you again? Or that you wouldn't contact him again?
No, I did not.
Okay. Okay. You then, a few days later, you decide to go back to Dallas.
Mm.
Why did you make this decision?
Because Amina had and Sarah, they only had a few more months of school. And we were scared that it would mess up her credits to, go to the college that she wanted to go to. So we decided to go and, let her go back to school and get it. And then when she graduated, we were gonna go back to the apartment we had rented in, Oklahoma.
Can you say that last part again?
After she graduated high school, we were gonna move back to Oklahoma.
But where were you going to live while they were in school
We, in the house in Louisville.
with Yaser?
Yes, ma'am.
Was it Yaser Saeed that told you that the girls needed to come back and finish school?
He said they need to come because school's, important, and, I said, I know.
Okay. So he's the one that brought this up to you?
Yes,
Okay. So he told you everything would be all right and the girls needed to be back in school.
yes, and that he would leave it.
Did he know you had taken that $4,000?
Yes.
What did he say about it?
He was mad about it.
What did he say to you regarding it?
That he couldn't trust me, and that's, I can't remember everything he said.
Okay. Were the girls reluctant to go back?
They
His birth date is
didn't want to go back,
1988,
but on the other hand, they did because they wanted to finish the
and
school year.
Amina's is 89, and Sarah's is
Yeah.
1991.
Were they scared to
So
go back?
he's the oldest.
They didn't say that they were scared. And the
Or
way that Yaser
Sarah's
and
born in
Yaser
90,
had
sorry.
left the messages and talked, I didn't think anything would happen.
Okay.
You
What
know-
do you mean the way they talked? What do you mean by that?
Like, they were trying to be nice and convince, us that everything's gonna be okay. It's, just come back and finish school.
Okay. So how do you guys get back to Dallas? Who's with who?
Me, Sarah, Eddie, not Eddie, I'm sorry, Eric, was in,
You're
I think
welcome.
Amina was in the truck with us too.
Okay. Is
And
Eddie still in Dallas?
Eddie was on his way, was in
I'm
Dallas.
sorry, Louisville?
Yes.
When you get back to the Louisville area, what do you do? Where do you drop? Do you drop Eric off? What do you do?
I dropped Eric off, and then we went to the Denny's, and we met Yaser and Islam at the Denny's.
Okay. But before you go to the Denny's where Yaser and Islam are, do you drop Amina off at Eddie's place?
Yes,
And you do that because Amina asked you to drop her off at Eddie's place?
yes,
She wanted to be with Eddie.
yes.
She didn't want to go home.
They were going to Eddie's families for New Year's.
Okay.
So they were having a cookout, and she wanted to go.
So you and Sarah meet Yaser and Islam at Denny's?
Yes,
Okay, and this is New Year's Eve?
yes.
And how does Yaser act when you get there?
He acted like himself.
What do you mean his self? Was he nice?
Yeah, he was nice, and
What did he do? How did he greet you?
he just, when he came in, I sat down, and then started talking to Sarah, asking Sarah how was she, and he was glad that, she's back.
He was glad she was back?
Hmm.
Okay. He went to Denny's often, right?
Yes.
Okay. Did you guys go anywhere after that? After going to Denny's? The four of you, Islam, Sarah, and Yaser Saeed.
We went back to the house in Louisville.
Does he reward Sarah by getting her a new SIM card?
Yes,
So you did go somewhere after the Denny's?
the next day.
The next day, I'm sorry. Okay. So she gets her SIM card for her phone?
Yes,
Okay, to replace the one that y'all had broken.
yes.
And how was he acting during the night and into the next day?
The next day, like he had a habit of chewing on the side of his cheek,
Uh-huh.
and he would do that. But
What did that indicate to you?
that
Why do you
he,
bring that up?
that's one sign that when he was angry.
That's how you knew he was becoming more angry, so he would chew the inside of his cheek.
Mhm.
So you would look for those signs.
Yes.
Okay. Did he start doing that on January 1st?
She's looking at him now while she's
I'm
saying
sorry.
this.
Did you understand my question? Do
I
I need to
did.
ask it again?
Please.
Okay. He started doing that more on January 1st, chewing on his cheek that
Yes.
you were aware of?
Yes.
Okay. Did he ask you where Amina was?
Yes.
Did you tell him?
I told him that she was with her friend.
You didn't tell him that she was with a boy?
No.
Okay. How do you explain where you were when you ran away to Yaser, when you were at Denny's? How do you explain it? What do you say that y'all did?
He asked where we went, and I just told him to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then to Kansas.
Okay. And you don't mention the boys at all to him?
No.
Do you know if Sarah does?
he questioned Sarah. I don't know what he asked them.
You're
Or
saying questions there, what do you mean? You took her into a room?
like,
Is that
they
when
was at,
did I? Oh, was
at
I
the
not on mute?
traffic
Was I on
table
mute?
and was talking.
Yes, it goes
And
Islam,
Yaser
Amina,
likes to
and
be
Sarah.
outside.
Sorry,
So,
I thought
when, Sarah went outside, they were talking, and then he talked to her in the bedroom.
Okay, so he had her alone
Yeah,
outside, and then he had her alone in her and Amina's bedroom?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, were you included in this conversation?
No, ma'am.
You were not part of that conversation?
No, ma'am.
Did Sarah come to you after that and tell you what was said?
I don't recall, I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you know if she told or confided in Yaser Saeed that she had had sex with her boyfriend?
I don't know.
Okay. But they, how long would you say they were talking in either outside or in a bedroom? Was it a while?
Like, I don't know, in 30 minutes, an hour. But when Sarah was, after she would talk with him for some time, you could hear her laughing.
Okay. So he was being kind to her.
Yeah, he was being nice with her.
All right. Now, at some point, Amina's still not home at this point.
Correct.
Are you in communication with Amina?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And what are you asking?
I
her to do?
agree. Faraway eyes.
To ask her if she was ready to come home.
And she didn't want to come home?
No.
Did you ask Sarah to contact her?
No, I did not. But Amina and Sarah had contact with each other.
Okay. So you didn't ask Sarah to contact and tell Amina to come home or tell Amina to call you?
No.
How many times would you say you had contact with Amina during that day of New Year's Day, January 1, 2008?
3 or 4.
3 or 4. And during those times, are you asking her when she's coming home?
No, I asked her on a couple of times, when does she want me to take her out?
How old was
And
Patricia?
what did she say to you?
Yeah,
Hold
she
on,
called me
I'll
when she got ready.
Okay. At some point,
See if
you
I can
do go
figure
over
it
to the
out.
house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. To Eddie's house.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you go inside?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And y'all have a conversation with Eddie, Amina, and Eddie's parents. Is that correct?
We don't have I when we went in, we were leaving, and Eddie said, told me to call him later, and she said okay, and then she had her
About
she had
about
the camera
36.
so you could put like the little, I guess,
Because if she was, hold
some kind
on.
of little clip in there,
Okay.
and she threw it down and put it.
Because the way I figured it is, if she was 15 in 1987, I subtracted 15 from 1987 and got 72. So then I subtracted 1972 from 2008 and got 36.
Here that that would be the last time that he saw her.
What was she upset about?
I'm not for sure. Well, I think because she was going
My
back
math
to the
teacher
house.
would be so
She
proud I
was
showed my work.
No, she didn't.
Why did you bring her back to that house, Patricia?
Because she wanted to finish her school.
You knew she did not want to go home
I knew she
to
didn't.
her dad,
I knew.
and you went and got her anyway.
Yes, ma'am.
Was Yaser asking where she was?
Yes, her answer she was.
Did you tell him that she was with a boy?
No.
So the reason you went to get her is because he didn't know where she was and you didn't want him to know.
Exactly.
But why bring Amina home?
So that she can go ahead and finish her schooling.
This is a tough question, but Amina knew what could happen to her.
Yes.
Did you comprehend what could happen to her?
I did. A part of me did. A part of me didn't. Yeah. I'm sorry.
It's okay. When you get home, how does he greet Amina, Yaser Saeed?
He come to the door, opened the door, and he kissed on the forehead, and I seen a tear go down his cheek. And he hugged her and she come in.
Did he ask her where she'd been? Do you
No,
recall?
I don't recall.
Okay, what happened next?
She said she's hungry, so I said, okay, well, I'll warm you some pizza up. And she's like, Yaser said, no, I'm going to take them and we're going to eat dinner and talk.
Okay.
And what time is this? Around what time is this?
I'm gonna say around 7. I'm not completely sure exactly
Okay,
what time.
evening time,
Yes,
6 or 7.
yes,
And where are they gonna go eat?
at the Jenny's.
At the Denny's.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were you invited?
No, ma'am.
Did you ask to go?
Yes.
Okay, and what did he say?
No, he just wanted to talk to the girls.
Okay, is Islam home at this time as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, he doesn't go to the Denny's.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Is Yaser Saeed driving a taxi at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what color is it?
Orange.
Is it the normal taxi that he would drive?
He was sharing with some other cab driver.
He would share with somebody?
Yes.
Okay. Did he and the girls get in this orange taxi?
Yes.
Okay. And they took off for Denny's around 6:37.
Somewhere there, yes.
Okay. What do you do?
I just sat there with Islam.
Okay.
And then,
At some point, do you contact Yaser on the
yes,
phone?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, and why do you contact him on the phone?
I was just calling his, maybe he changed his mind that, me and Islam could go and join on.
Okay.
So,
Does he answer the phone when you call?
yes,
He does?
yes.
Okay. Do you have a conversation with him?
Yes, I did. I asked him where they were and if they, if he want, if they can come to Denny's.
Okay. Let me back up just a little bit. Where is this Denny's that y'all would go to?
I don't remember. I think it was like a 635. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay. Was it fairly close to you?
Yes,
Okay. So there's several Denny's.
Yeah.
Was it one that was fairly close to you?
yes.
It's next to a La Quinta Inn, because
All right,
that's
so you're talking
what La
about the Denny's.
Quinta
Did
is
he invite you at
Spanish
this
for.
point?
No.
Okay. Has your
Next to
conversation
Denny's.
long or short?
Well, when I talked to him, he said he's putting gas and they'd be on their way home.
Okay, so they weren't gonna go to Denny's.
Not, well, he said he was taking on to Denny's.
Okay.
So,
Well, when you contacted him, you said he was putting gas in his car?
yes,
He's putting gas in his car.
yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then he would be home shortly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you take that to mean that he was gonna get gas, then go to Denny's, then bring them home?
No, I just assumed that he was putting gas and gonna go back to the house.
Okay. Do you and Islam stay at the house?
Yes,
Okay. And do you call Yaser back?
yes,
Yaser Saeed?
yes,
You call him again on the phone?
yes.
When?
Whenever the Lord's Police Department come.
Okay, but before we get to that,
Okay.
thank you, Bill. Before we get to that, you were trying to contact him, or you contacted him when he leaves with the girls.
Yes,
Okay, before the Louisville police get involved, do you have any more contact with him on the phone?
no,
Do you call him, does he call you?
no, I talked to him only one time.
One time, does he call you during this time at all?
No,
Does he try to tell you that somebody's following him?
no,
Does he contact you to call the police for him?
no,
Does he contact you because he's worried about the girls?
no,
Does he contact you and ask you, and have you helped him in any sort of way?
no,
Does he contact you and tell you where he is?
no,
In fact, Mrs. Owens, does he contact you at all?
no,
After that last contact where he said he was at the gas station, did you ever hear from Yaser Saeed again?
never.
At some point, you said you were contacted by the Louisville Police Department,
Yes, ma'am.
okay? And how did they contact you?
They come to the door.
Okay, and what did they tell you at the door?
The officer asked if everything was okay. I said, yes, why? And he said they had a 911 call. That a young boy said that her sister was shot and she's shot and she's dying.
Okay,
But can I back up for a second on that
I
call?
think so, yes.
When she called the 911, she stated that her Bubba, which is dad in English, shot her sister and her, and she's dying.
Okay. So they're giving you this information, and what do they need from you?
They told me to call, they asked where Yaser was,
Okay, that's where Yaser Saeed was, what did you tell them?
that he was supposed to be taking the girls out for dinner and talking to them.
Did you tell them what vehicle he left in?
The taxi.
Yes, did you give that information to the police?
Yes.
Did you give did you give a description of him?
Uh,
Height, weight, clothes, kind of thing?
Not until they took me to the Irving Police Department.
Okay. Did you provide some pictures of the girls?
I did.
Okay. Did they ask you about a weapon?
I don't recall them asking me about the weapon.
Did Islam talk to the police as well?
Yes.
Okay. Do they escort you down to the Louisville Police Department?
Yes. Out to Louisville?
I'm sorry, you're right, Irving Police Department.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And. is
Hey,
this where you
for
find out
everybody
about
just
what happened
coming
to
in,
the
can you
girls?
give
Yes,
your girl a thumbs up,
Do you
please?
talk to any detectives?
Yes.
Okay. Um, did you identify the girls?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Where were the girls buried?
In prom in the Muslim cemetery.
And you and Islam lived together for a little while after this, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did he eventually move in with the Saeed family?
Actually, after it happened, Islam and myself, we moved in with Mary and Muslim.
You moved in with them?
Yes.
Okay. They invited you to move in with them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you eventually get your own apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And does Islam stay with the Saeed family?
No, he went to Egypt.
To Egypt, okay. After Egypt, did you have very much contact with Islam?
No, ma'am.
And you never heard from Yaser Saeed again?
No.
Ms. Owens, is Yaser Saeed in the courtroom today?
Yes, he is.
Can you please identify him?
That devil there.
Can you identify a piece of clothing that he's wearing?
A dark blue jacket,
Okay.
a tie, and a white shirt.
Right, what color mask, if he's wearing a mask?
Blue.
May the record reflect the witness has identified the defendant in open court.
The record will so reflect.
Thank you. Ms. Owens, after these murders, at some point were you under care of a doctor?
Yes.
And what were you diagnosed with?
There's several things. PTSD, I think is what it is.
PTSD,
Extreme depression.
extreme depression, and
There's several things, and I can't remember all of them. There's several.
are you also on medication for them?
I am.
Are you on medication for them today?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sure they are. Because chick, I'm going to only go to her. Once they pass the witness, I'm going to stop. And I'll be back live tomorrow morning.
That's all. I'll pass the witness. All
right.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you all like a 15-minute break? Or
I'd
do you
like
want to
a
power
break.
through crossing?
Thank you. Wow. Okay. So there's some key points in her testimony. You notice that the prosecution continued to ask her the same question respective to why did you bring Amina back to the house? And her answer continued to be because Amina wanted to go back to school, wanted to finish her school, right? Here's the thing about that. This is what the defense team is means by one answer away from catching charges. Even if that were if that were true, right? If that is true, if Amina wanted to finish school and that she had offers, etc., and she wanted to not just finish school, but walk at Louisville. She didn't have to be in her home to do that. They could have driven her to school. Her mom could have taken her to school. They could have stayed in a hotel, motel, Holiday Inn near the high school. And that's facts. And the reason that that the wording is so important is because remember how old Amina is. Amina is 18 years old. In every state, she is an adult. And if an adult asks you to take them home, that's that. It's different if it would have been Sarah. See, if Sarah had demanded to go back to her father's house, Sarah is a minor. And therefore, Patricia would have been under no legal obligation to take her anywhere because she's a minor. But because Amina was 18, she had to take, that is the girls did. Hey, bowling with cotton balls. Thank you. I'm glad you're here. Welcome, welcome. Nice to have you. But that language is very, very telling. That is how she is one statement away from catching charges. Because had she said that Amina is an adult, and so if Amina says take me home, she's got to take her home. It's different for Sarah, right? Because that's a minor, but also she is very wishy-washy about what exactly she did know, right? And she's very she was sort of non-committal in her answers on how Yaser was when he met her and up at the Denny's, her and Sarah at the Denny's, right? And that's another thing. How come they're going? Why are they going to need to go Denny's twice for to eat? They just came back from Denny's. So there are some things about Miss Patricia's story that are like a little. There's something there that is just not quite right. She was, yes, and it was Sarah that called 911. So that shows you're right. So what did I say? Did I say Amina called 911? My bad. I'm sorry. Sarah called 911. I'm sorry. It's getting late for me. So there are elements to her testimony that just don't quite add up. And the fact that she was non-committal about Yaser Saeed's the way he treated the girls and the way he treated her. Well, not Amina, because she was at her boyfriend's house, but Sarah, when they met up at the Denny's initially, is interesting to me. Because she did notice that he was chewing his cheek. And, anybody that's been in a relationship with anybody, whether it's a good, healthy relationship or a negative toxic relationship or somewhere in between, right? When you're with somebody for an extended period of time and in a relationship, you pick up on little things that they do, right? So I find it interesting that she was non-committal about the way he acted towards her but mainly towards Sarah, but yet she noticed that he was chewing his cheek. Oh, okay. Sorry, I don't know what's wrong with me. Thank you for answering nonstop, Mom. I just I'm having like a lot. I'm thinking about like 11 billion different things that she said and going over it in my mind and trying to talk at the same time, and it's not working at all. Like not even a little. Yes, nonstop, Mom. It's disjointed. That's the word I was looking for. It's disjointed. It's not disjointed on other aspects, but when it comes down to that day and that evening, it's extremely disjointed. Like, why would you call? Okay, so the deal was when Amina gets home, she wants to eat. This is according to Patricia. And let me just say for the record, because this is the other thing that's a little bit distracting me. Every time I say the name Patricia, I think of that SpongeBob episode when Patrick is working at the Krusty Krab and he answers the phone, and somebody says, and the person says, "Is this the Krusty Krab?" And Patrick says, "No, this is Patrick." And then the time that he was on the run from the yeah, it has sugar beet. And then the other time, whenever he was on the run from the door-to-door salesman, and he became Patricia, for whatever reason, that's running through my brain too. Now that it's out, I can focus. Sorry to the replay people and to the audience here. That's very distracting, but I was distracted. Okay. So so Amina gets home and says that she's hungry, and Patricia offers to heat her up pizza. And Yaser says, no, I'm going to take the girls out to eat, right? And, oh, excuse me, we're going to talk, all right? But, so why would you call him to see if he wanted you to join them? It's just a weird, disjointed series of events coming from her. That's all. You know, it would. I think why it's sticking out to me is because of the way that the family dynamic, and I'm talking about that immediate family. I'm talking about Patricia, Yaser, Islam, Sarah, and Amina. That family dynamic. Because it seems like the way the family dynamic has been presented, and she has backed up, and so has her sister Connie, that if Yaser had wanted her to join them for dinner at some point, he would have called her and told her to come. So her calling and asking if he wanted her to come is just, there's something about that doesn't sit right. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm on there. Look, I'm just going to, this is what I'm really thinking. Was she calling to check in to see if everything was okay? That's what I'm trying to get at. Or if it was done. That's what I'm trying to get at. That's what I'm trying to get at. Did she know? Did she know? Because it's just a weird, the fact that she called is if it were anybody else, right? Any other family, I probably, well, I guess under the circumstances, but it's not because it's weird to call your husband and ask, "Hey, are you guys done talking? Is it fine if me and my son come up here and join?" Or our son, right? That's in it, like, but it's because of the family dynamic that's why it sticks out to me, if that makes sense. That's what I'm trying to get at, is that it's suspicious, and it stands out, and it's noteworthy due to the family dynamic. A phone call in and of itself is nothing. It's because of the way that family dynamic was that has me puzzled. And I do think, Kezchik, that's part of it. See, I think what's happening in the courtroom and what we're seeing is, it's, first of all, to be fair, we're not going to get the whole story, because she can only answer the questions that she's being asked. This isn't like if she were being interviewed by the police, right? Where they'll let you just talk. So it doesn't work like that in court, right? She can only answer what she's being asked. Okay, so we're only catching a glimpse, and there's multiple things going on simultaneously. First of all, she is sitting very, very close to him. Really, she is. This is the person who took her daughter's lives. Period. That's the end of it. And sitting that close to a person who's taken your child's life, your children's lives, or any of your loved one's life, but in particular your children, especially when it's their father who was supposed to protect his children, that would be difficult under the best of, that would be difficult under any circumstance, right? But then you throw in on top of it that she's saying that he was abusive. That adds another element and another layer. But it is this phone call, because I've been thinking about all the dynamics, but this phone call sticks out to me, and I just think it's something else. There's something not quite right there. So Nonstop Mom, where they found the girls was in Irving, Texas, in front of the Omni Hotel. Now, in the opening statements, which we heard, the defense attorney is saying, there were no, how come nobody saw Yaser? It was, the Omni Hotel on New Year's Day, right? So his point to that is like any other big city, Dallas does it up for New Year's. And it's cheaper to stay a little outside of Dallas, right, than to stay in Dallas on like New Year's Eve, going down there, going to downtown Dallas and celebrating New Year's Eve. It would be cheaper to stay in Irving. Okay. Like the Dallas, that's where the Dallas Cowboys Stadium originally was in Irving, Texas, before they moved it to Arlington. But it was originally in Irving. So what he said, what the defense attorney is saying is that area would have been packed with people, mainly leaving, right, and getting on the road and piecing out for because because it was New Year's Day and it was in the evening time, which is why I think that checkout time is noon, dude. This happened at night. So, but that's his point anyway. And that's where they found him. Well, her son, got 10 years in federal prison for aiding and abetting his father while he was leaving. So she's got at least, she's got a few years, and it's day for day. He's not getting no credit for time served, no early release for good behavior, nothing. He will do every minute, every hour, every day, every month, every year of that sentence. So well, I think so I'm not sure why they took the death penalty off of the table, why they decided to go for life without the possibility of parole. Perhaps they thought it would be easier. See, in a capital murder case in Texas, if you're convicted, right, and the death penalty is on the table, then there is the penalty phase, right? And so then the jury has to decide whether it's going to be life without parole or it's going to be capital punishment, right? So maybe because it took so long to get this person to trial to begin with, right? I mean, this happened in 2008 and he was on the run for 12 years. 6 of those years he was on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. So maybe they were thinking this would simplify the situation because should he be found guilty, there is no penalty phase. It's an automatic life without parole. So maybe that's why they did it. So that if he is found guilty, that, justice could be served immediately. Now, even if he is found guilty, and he will, if he is, he'll be sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. But he does have, he has the opportunity to appeal. So it's just a little different when you get life without parole versus when you get the death penalty, because there are automatic appeals that occur in a death penalty case that don't occur in a life without parole scenario. So this is what we're going to do tomorrow. I'll be live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And we will go over the rest of Tizzy's the cross-examination. And then I'm going to skip ahead to day 4 and see if that medical, what we'll do is I'm going to play a little bit of what occurred for anybody that missed it on Friday, that the sidebar that happened. And I want you guys to hear that, and then we'll skip forward and see if the medical examiner gets to testify. If she doesn't, there's other parts. I don't really want to show on this channel. I don't really want to show like a whole lot of the crime scene and the holding up of the clothing and stuff like that, because it's a little too much for me. This is just one of those cases. It's a little too much. And if you guys, I mean, it's on YouTube. You guys can, if you want to watch it, because I think there's other testimony that might be more, I don't know, that we need to hear. Kezchik, no, I started this live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So tomorrow morning I will start. So it'll be tomorrow morning for me. It'll be Sunday morning for you, or for me, and it'll be Sunday, almost Monday evening, or might be even Monday evening, Monday morning, early Monday morning for you, Kezchik. But it'll be 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern, and we'll finish up, and then that way we can be all the way caught up for Monday's trial when it for the trial when Monday, you know what I mean, on Monday when the trial resumes. And then tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, it'll be me and Christine G. That's me. And we're going to be doing more Diane Downs. Okay, so right now where Kezchik is, it is Sunday at 1:43 p.m. So this will be for you Monday at like 12 a.m. That's what it'll be. All right. So this is where I leave you. I'll see you guys in the morning. Hopefully you'll all be up bright and early and ready to true crime it up and ready to listen to this testimony. All right. Thank you everyone for being here. I appreciate it so, so much. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning. All right. You guys take it easy. Stay safe out here on these YouTube streets. And thank you, Kezchik, until I see you again in the morning. Bye.